Morning.
Morning, Dato'.
Yeah, I'm testing.
Oh, you have a test, huh?
Figure out how to use this.
Okay. Joe, ARI, are you there?
Yeah.
Bagi
Stop.
Dato' Anand test.
Sure.
Nanti
Dato', please.
you check guest room siapa lagi you kenal, bagi masuk.
No, okay.
Itu semua dia kata dia nak datang.
Oh, okay. Noted.
Bagi Dato' test dia punya slide.
Sure, Dato'. Can share the screen now.
Itulah nanti kejap ya, tengah
Boleh.
belajar ni. Tekan apa ya?
Okay, kalau dekat bawah tu ada kan macam ada
Sekejap. I just want to test this.
Dato' kena play dulu slide tu dulu. Then boleh tekan share screen warna hijau.
Virtual background ni macam mana nak dapat je?
Virtual background ni.
Okay, nanti. I know.
Jauh ya dulu download Dato'.
Ya.
Zoom mesti asam lah. Kalau Zoom
Go to desktop.
Dr. Wong, morning.
Morning, Mr. Lee.
Morning, Dr. Wong. Wow, very early.
Try to test run because yesterday got a bit of problem. I see whether my or not now.
Okay, you got my background, that one?
Yes, Dr. Anand, yes. Wow, very nice setting.
Now, balik semula, macam mana nak share screen ni?
Dia ada button green color, I think down there. Share screen.
Oh, share screen. Okay.
Yeah.
And then?
So you on your
presentation. I think.
Presentation first.
Sorry?
On your presentation.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You try the other way. I'm not too sure I can do. Then you look for share screen. Go back to this window.
No, my presentation is on. Then
you try to choose the.
Unless you have loaded your PowerPoint on the desktop.
Oh, on the desktop, eh?
Actually no need. Dato' Anand.
Yeah.
Okay, Dato' Anand dah buka dah slideshow tu. Okay, kalau dah buka, okay biarkan. Dato' Anand pergi balik ke Zoom meeting ni. Masuk balik ke dalam Zoom meeting.
Ni macam mana nak masuk balik Zoom meeting ni?
Okay, dekat bawah sekali tu, dekat dalam apa tu dia panggil taskbar bawah ni. Kat taskbar. Bawah tu kan ada Zoom punya ikon bawah tu.
Okay,
klik Zoom icon tu.
Okay.
Then bila dah masuk balik dalam Zoom meeting ni punya ni, boleh share screen. Tekan share screen warna hijau kat tengah-tengah.
Okay,
bila dah keluar share screen, Datuk boleh cari slide yang Datuk dah buka tadi.
Oh, dia tak ada dalam ni. Oh, nanti sekejap. Ada dua ni, tengok ni satu.
Okay, ambil yang dah buka, yang full page.
Nanti kejap ya.
Boleh.
Dia tak ada keluar tetapi let me try.
Ada, Dato'. Is the PowerPoint open in the taskbar? You check tengok Dato'.
Yeah.
Is the PowerPoint in the taskbar? Down there?
Tak ada lah. Kejap. I try again ya.
Okay.
What I normally do is I open the PowerPoint, then you will appear in the desktop or in the taskbar. Taskbar dia mesti ada icon of the PowerPoint. You know?
No, dalam share screen ni, So I click this green screen ni.
Yeah.
Tapi dalam bila keluar ni, oh, let me check this one.
Ada tak?
Else.
You must click back on the PowerPoint.
I have 2 PowerPoint tapi dia tak ada nama pula. Let me
You just try one.
Okay, just click je salah satu.
Salah
Okay,
satu.
okay.
One maybe the main PowerPoint, the other one could be your slide.
share. System preferences. Alamak. Okay. Screen recording.
Oh, bukan. Itu dah masuk, rasanya itu dah masuk ke dalam PowerPoint tu. Tak perlu masuk ke dalam PowerPoint tu.
Itulah. Okay. So what do? I
Okay.
go all over again.
Okay.
Okay, go back to Zoom.
Okay, go back to Zoom. Then dekat bawah tu kan ada participant, poll, chat, share screen. Yang warna hijau kat tengah-tengah tu. Okay, klik share screen tu.
When I click this,
Klik yang warna hijau tu.
dah klik dah. Tapi
Okay. Cari slideshow PowerPoint yang dekat dalam tu yang dia keluar pop-up tu.
yelah, tapi dia tak ada nama lah.
Oh, you just click first, double click it so I see whether it come out in the screen. Double click.
Then it asked me to go to open system preferences. And then Zoom.
No, just click share only. Share je dekat bawah tu. Dah klik satu yang mana satu nak tu.
Yeah,
Then click share.
I've done that.
Oh, okay.
Nanti kejap lah. Let me ask my see if any of my staff dah sampai.
Okay.
I
So, Wang?
try my one first.
Okay, sure.
Okay. I think it should be okay. I saw it should be okay.
Yesterday you did it already, kan?
Yeah. You all see my screen?
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move my next screen, next one.
Can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Alright.
Okay, good.
Share my.
So and share already. Let Datuk Anand do.
Okay. So can stop.
To share this one.
Yes, I stop already. Okay. Okay.
Zoom.
This one share screen. This one.
Okay. Then I
Just select the screen you want.
which one?
Just now, what is the window you're using?
This window, this one, different window. So how?
This Microsoft PowerPoint. Suppose
Maybe I move this to the desktop lah. Desktop. This is what I want to share. Huh?
It's not desktop.
No. So let me move desktop. Where is it? Okay, I go back to Zoom. Share screen. Oh ni. I keep on going here. So that's it. Zoom. Allow Zoom. Ini lah. Then what happened? What do I press? Click the lock.
It's too long.
We used this before. Then how? Okay dah. Okay, then click this one.
Boleh dah tu.
Tengah fikir ni, ada lagi tak? Anybody else know how to use this? I've never done this before. Keep on going back to here. Okay, plan B, I need your help lah. Boleh?
Can lah, you ask Johari will
Ya, boleh, boleh.
Meantime, I will apa ni?
Ah,
I'll get, I still got time. I just get someone who knows. Ini siapa tahu? Lila.
You close all your PowerPoint. Actually, what notice normally how I do it. I open the PowerPoint, put it on desktop. I mean, it's on desktop lah. Save it on desktop. Then it will appear, the PowerPoint icon also appear in the taskbar down there. You know, that's
Yeah, but I've been following it at the bottom here. Dia ada this key, share screen. When I press this, dalam ni, what came out is, yalah, but I don't see the file inside here.
No, you go back to the taskbar, you open your icon, PowerPoint icon.
Taskbar, I don't have any PowerPoint icon dalam ni tau. I only have share screen.
No, then you have to, you know, the taskbar, not the Zoom taskbar, the computer taskbar, laptop taskbar. You don't see that, you have to go to view, exit full screen, then you'll be there. Go to the top there, view. Then there's a menu on exit full screen. Here.
Exit full screen.
You exit full screen, then the taskbar will appear. Then the PowerPoint is down there.
Got apps.
You click on the.
Okay, I got somebody to help me lah. Okay, how do I share screen? Do you know? I want to share this.
Ruby, and then you minta dia orang put their
This one.
organization at the back of the name.
So currently,
Many people.
should be one.
Is it Miss Lee?
Ask the participants now and then, just at the beginning also can. Can you all
I don't want
put the name, after the name, put the organization.
getting this.
Oh, okay.
At least we know who are they.
Okay.
Share screen. Share.
Next to their name lah.
Next to the name, yeah.
Okay.
Keep on going here.
Okay.
So like what you do, you can put your name as an example also.
Okay, sure.
Zoom.
Zoom. Okay.
Okay. Files. One here. desktop folder. Okay, let's put.
Cik Mansur, jap.
Bagi Mansur masuk
Oh,
cikgu
okey.
kalau ada. Dr. Ani Atika, siapa lagi no? Yang kita kenal lah.
Kalau Puan Ruby nampak siapa-siapa yang saya tak perasan, boleh masuk je.
Asari bagi.
Ya.
Asari.
I don't want Acrobat.
Oh, okey. Oh, sorry.
Now I can close this. Just minimize this.
Assalamualaikum, good morning. Boleh dengar saya?
Boleh.
Jelas.
Asari, welcome.
Let me leave lah.
Datuk, okey Datuk.
No lah, macam mana now I got now this. I'm using Apple, you know. So
Using Apple.
I'm using Apple too.
Okay.
macam mana nak share screen, you know?
Kalau Zoom tu di bawah tu ada bawah. You just use your mouse, go down, just put down, then keluar satu menu bar. Yang center part is a share screen.
Okay, when I click this,
I
don't see my file.
There will appear one window. You have to open that file that you want to show, and then you click to that file.
Tapi dalam ni I don't see that file, you know. Ada tulis Microsoft PowerPoint tapi unknown. Files. Okay.
And can you cannot? Kalau begitu siapa ya? Sekretariat akan bantu Datuk dengan slides tu lah. Boleh?
Kita akan buat macam tu lah.
Datuk ni.
Okay, this is mine.
Boleh dah.
Itulah. I think when I want to change to my intonation, or I'll say next lah. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Ni siapa buat ni?
Saya.
Okay, alright.
So yang ni Datuk Anan, boleh betul yang ni ya?
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Alright. So saya akan manage lah. Ada, kalau tak salah saya ada 6 slide, betul ya?
Okay.
Alright.
Thank you.
So Joe, you don't need the side, the small screen.
Yep.
So I want to see it big lah, so that I can read it. Yeah?
Tadi itulah, okay dah.
Okay.
So saya tunggu cik Datuk Isham masuk.
Datuk Nasir dah ada dia punya itu.
Ya.
Okay.
Datuk Nur Hisham, okey.
Azari, okey Ria.
Abang
Azari.
yang tuan yang tolong jaga Datuk.
Mana Datuk?
Datuk Nasir punya tu, boleh tak saya dapatkan nama slide presentation dia?
Tajuk presentation lah.
Tuan yang jaga slide Datuk Nasir ni.
Sorry.
Sorry. Boleh tak saya dapatkan tajuk slide presentation dia?
Tajuk slide.
Boleh tak letak
saya type kat tepi ya.
Chat box tu. Datuk Nisham.
Yep.
Boleh tak saya dapatkan tajuk slide presentation? Boleh tak type dalam chat box?
Okay. Alright.
Alright, thank you.
Dr. Cheng Tu, good morning.
Dr. Chin duduk kat mana? Apa ni? Dalam screen ni ada? Tak nampak. Tak nampak.
Ada,
Dr.
dia
Chin.
masuk
Okey,
dah.
okey, okey.
Dah dekat office, dekat office.
Baju biru baju biru, batik biru
Batik. Ni batik.
Okey.
Terima kasih lah. Terima kasih semua.
So semua audio okey ya? Audio. Everyone have.
Quite clear. Boleh dengar.
Okay. Nonton desk pula.
Okay, good morning everyone. Now, because kita ada ramai orang hari ini, about 450 to 500 people, I expect. Dan kita pun ada YouTube live. We like to request kalau selepas nama tiap-tiap participant, you just put your organisation boleh. Macam Ruby buat tu, macam siapa tu? Dr. Cheng tu, dia buat Cheng tu kasar. Macam tu. So rename sikit. Click on your photo, dia ada blue 3 dots di atas tu yang ada rename tu. So that we will know each other lah. So too many people. Okay. Boleh Kalau boleh buat lah. Apa?
Mr. Lee, you are telling everyone in the 500 people are listening to you now.
No. Ruby will announce. It's just this for among us here.
Okay, for the others, who?
Nanti when they come in, then the Ruby will announce.
Okay.
Tell them.
All right.
Ruby's the MC today.
Done.
Yeah, done. Okay.
Oh, kat atas ni.
MAMN.
Rename. Okay.
Ruby ada tu?
Saya ada. Batuk sikit lah.
Okay.
Keluar suara.
Okay. Your apa is clear now. I mean,
Ini semua post COVID symptom.
Iyalah. Clarity good.
Yeah.
It's 9 o'clock. We are waiting for Datuk Nur Hisham ada?
Datuk apa?
Datuk Hisham ada dah?
Ada. Semua ada dah. Semua ada dah.
Dah ada. Right.
Okay, Ruby, you can.
The number is still the number is still low, Wesley.
Bagi dia nak masuk.
Never mind.
Okay. Masukkan mereka jom yang menunggu tu.
Nak banyak ubat ni.
Bagi masuk semua.
Free webinar orang masuk kemudian. Tak boleh tunggu.
Nampak?
头痛哦，前一天，等到今天晚上的时候又头痛
engineering
When you are
because when I say some technical, they say it's not the right transformer. So basically, it's just a progression.
We shall wait for a few more minutes. Let most of people come in. We have about 400 people registered. Is my voice clear enough? Okay. Good. We have 200 people now. Can we start already, Mr. Lee?
Yeah, I think shall we start?
I think we should start.
You start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Joe, we're going to start. I'm sorry. First of all, I'm sorry because I have cough. You might not hear me clearly. Yeah. Okay. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Harap semua dalam keadaan sihat ya. First and foremost, on behalf of the Malaysian Water Association, I'd like to express our thanks to Ministry of Environment and Water for jointly organizing today's webinar on understanding average recurrence interval and its application in rainfall and flood prediction and project design in Malaysia. This webinar is organized in conjunction with CASA's second anniversary. And a special thanks to our sponsor, Ideal Lestari, for supporting this webinar also. And a very warm welcome to the panelists, moderator, MWA council members, and all participants. Before we start, a little housekeeping notes. For your information, the program will be conducted for about 2.5 hours, including the presentation by the panelists, panel discussion, and also Q&A session. This webinar is also shared via YouTube. We will share the link shortly. We will share the YouTube. Sorry. This webinar.
Mute. Ruby, carry on. Ruby, I think you're muted. Ruby, you're muted.
Okay. I said just now that we're going to share this program via YouTube as well. So there will be a link we will share in the chat box shortly. And towards the end of the program, there will be a panel discussion and Q&A session. So we encourage all the participants to post their questions through the chat box provided. Yeah. And then during the presentation, we will minimize the participants. We will switch off the microphones of all participants to minimize any interruptions. So if you have any Q&A, any questions later you want to ask live, you can do so during Q&A session. Okay, without much delay, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the session, let me call upon President of MWA to give a welcome address. Please welcome Dr. Engineer Technologies, Haji Muhammad Asari Daud. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Ruby. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to everybody. Alhamdulillah, this morning we're able to meet again in this webinar. I wish all of you very healthy morning. I think like Ruby, I just recovered from COVID. So this is my second day being able to have a blue tag on my sejahtera. First of all, I would like to extend my appreciation thanks to CASA for the trust given to Malaysian Water Association to conduct this webinar, especially to Dr. Ching Tu, TKSU of CASA. I would also to express my thanks to Mr. Lee Kun Yew for organizing this whole event with Ruby from the Secretariat. I also like to express on behalf of the Malaysian Water Association our deepest thanks to the learned panelists we are having today. Dr. Dr. Nasir Makno, sorry. Dr. Nasir, I think he's my river friends or river buddy. And then we also have Dr. IR Nur Hisham Ghazali, currently the Director General of Nahrim. And then we have Dr. IR Adnan Makno, my fellow colleague in Academy Science Malaysia. We're working together a few projects before. And Dr. Wong, who I Sam. And also today we are going to be moderated by Haji Mansoor, our council member, on this subject of very interesting subject. We have been becoming public discussion nowadays. The issue of average recurrence interval, ARI, and also something to do with flood issues. All this while, I think I have been spending most of my time discussing about droughts, the major concern for water services. But today, I think we are having a bigger issues to discuss. There is flood and issues related to how we as engineers and also as practitioners in the water industry deal with flood and also deal with the knowledge that we have, the data that we have on rainfall, on weather forecasting, etc., etc. So I think today we are bringing to you, ladies and gentlemen, Dato, a very experienced set of panelists. Without question, I think they have been there dealing with this subject, and let us listen from them, direct from the house's mouth, of the issues pertaining to what we are facing today. I'm glad that they were able to join us and also share with us their vast experiences, and later we will have probably some opportunity for Q&A and discussion. I would like to also thank all the viewers, especially those on Zoom today who have registered. We have something like 400 registration. I think a very overwhelming for that support from members and also from supporters of the industry. And also we are going to get more from the YouTube viewers. So I think this is hopefully going to be what we can contribute to the organization, to the society, in terms of knowledge sharing on issues that is of public concern, and I think has been the subject of discussion among the media social. So I hope this is going to be a very fruitful and also knowledge sharing event that will make a very good understanding to all of us on this subject. Finally, I would like to express again my thanks to CASA for, I think, being very concerned about this subject, very sensitive and very proactive in getting this matter to be deliberated by experts from the field, and chosen MWA as the platform for the discussion. I hope this is going to be fruitful for everyone, and I hope all of you will participate and stay throughout the webinar. And of course, end of the day, we gain as much as we can. I would like to thank everyone for the support, and I hope the whole event will be very smooth, and I think without any interruption. With that, I would like to thank everyone. Hope to see you again, inshallah, at the end of this webinar. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sari. Before we begin, let me briefly introduce our moderator, Tuan Haji Mansoor Abdul Ghani, who will lead the session today. For information, Tuan Haji Mansoor is a council member of MWA and is one of the long-serving members of MWA since 1990. He's also a Deputy Honorary Secretary of Friends of Rivers Malaysia. Glad to have you here with us, Tuan Haji Mansoor.
Thank you.
Okay, without any delay, I will hand over the floor to the moderator to introduce all the panelists, and we can start the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruby. Yes, so I will start off by saying thank you very much to terima kasih banyak kepada Malaysian Water Association kerana memberi kepercayaan kepada saya untuk mengendalikan webinar forum ini, yang mana tajuknya sangat critical these days, dan waktu yang kita menghadapi banjir, ARI adalah satu akronim yang digunakan menunjukkan tentang kesan pada kesan hujan intensiti hujan, tetapi juga diselitkan juga satu perkara yang berkaitan dengan paras laut ataupun dia punya pasang surut yang juga mempunyai ARI. Itu pun saya baru tahulah semalam. Jadi itu akan disampaikan oleh salah seorang panel kita. Jadi untuk sebelum saya introduce pada panelis lain, saya nak beri sedikit ground rules lah ya. Jadi anyway, kita terima kasih kepada yang mendaftar dengan kita hampir 500 atau lebih 500 dan ada yang mengikuti dalam YouTube juga. Jadi sambutan ini sangat menggalakkan lah, walaupun dia percuma, pro bono. Dan kita akan mengadakan forum dalam dua bahasa, Melayu dan Inggeris. Boleh campur-campur lah ya, dan kita buat secara casual saja. Kita akan hanya buat soal jawab selepas kesemua 4 pembentangan kertas kerja itu diselesaikan. Dan jadi itu sajalah yang secara ringkasnya ya. Jadi sekarang saya nak perkenalkan secara ringkas saja juga, sebab kita pun dah mula sedikit lewat, kepada semua panelis kita. Silakan. Ya, panelis pertama Datuk Engineer Dr. Haji Muhammad Nasir Muhammad Nos, kini adalah Ketua Pengarah atau Director General Jabatan Pengairan dan Saliran, Department of Irrigation and Drainage. Secara ringkas lah, ini orang lama semua ni. Silakan yang kedua, panelis kedua ialah Datuk Engineer Haji Noisham Muhammad Ghazali, Ketua Pengarah Nahrim. Nahrim ialah sekatan kepada National Water Research Institute of Malaysia. Yang ketiga panelis kita ialah Datuk Adnan, Datuk Engineer Adnan, orang lama juga ni. Orang lama, kini adalah beliau adalah immediate past president the Association of Consulting Engineers Malaysia, ACM. Beliau akan beri cerita ARI, cerita ARI tajuknya ya. Okey, yang keempat, yang akhir sekali ialah panelis kita, Engineer Dr. Wong Waisam. Juga keempat-empat mereka adalah semua, pada saya ada hidrologis yang terkemuka lah di Malaysia ni. Beliau adalah seorang ahli jawatankuasa dan past chairman Water Resources Technical Division IEM. So beliau mewakili IEM kali ini ya. Jadi tanpa melewatkan masa lagi, jadi saya menyebut panelis pertama untuk memberi kertas kerja beliau selama 20 minit ya. Silakan Datuk Nasir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajma'in. Terima kasih kepada MWA atas jemputan, Madam Moderator, Tuan Haji Mansur, dan juga pada Tuan Presiden tadi, Tuan Haji Asyari, para panelis, viewers, tuan-tuan dan puan mati sekalian. Izinkan saya ceritakan tentang ARI dan sebagainya. Next slide please. Okey, sebelum saya pergi pada cerita ataupun sikit pengenalan dengan ARI, ya, saya ingat Datuk Isham, saya, Datuk Adnan pun, masa kami kat JPS dahulu, the first 3 years, kita have to go for training kat Ampang. Ada dormitory kat situ, duduk situ seminggu. For the whole week, kadang belajar hydrology. And then another session, nanti kita belajar coastal, irrigation, river engineering, flood and so on. That's how been trained. Yang problem dia, cerita ARI ni, dia punya connotation, assumption itu kadang lari ya. Sampai PM pun, yang buat PM kat Parlimen pun kadang tanya kita balik, apa benda sebenarnya ARI ni. So statistik kita start. Statistik ni sebenarnya adalah sampel-sampel yang kita kumpul, data-data, banyak data ni. Bertahun-tahun hujan ke, banjir ke, flood, kita kumpulkan untuk masukkan dalam kita punya model. Itu statistik based on all the numerical data kita ada. And then probability ni macam kemungkinan, how it going to happen. Kalau ada coin tu mana 50-50 lah, head or tail. Itu probability, the chances event tu akan berlaku. And then return period. Return period ni bahasa lama. Sekarang ni bagi ARI. Return period ni atau ARI sebenarnya adalah purata untuk catatkan 20 tahun ni event untuk banjir. Purata yang akan berlaku sekali dalam 20 tahun. Average. Maksudnya dia mungkin tak berlaku. Mungkin dia berlaku 3-4 kali. So, on average kali. Itu jangan kata pula hari ni berlaku 100 tahun ke 50 tahun, tiba-tiba bulan depan berlaku lagi. Kerana ia adalah berlaku kerana average. Itu connotation yang kita pakai. Okay, next. Ada ARI dan AEP. Next slide please. Okay. ARI ni macam return period tadi. Maksudnya secara purata dia akan berlaku bagaimana. AEP pula jadi chances kemungkinan dia nak berlaku. Kalau tengok ke slide kanan tu sekali, the table there, ARI ni dia kita pecahkan pada tahun. Itu berbeza dengan AEP. Jadi AEP ni adalah percentage. T equal to 1/P. Maksudnya itu yang jadi kemungkinan dia tu. Kalau average nak jadi sekali 20 tahun, bermakna kemungkinannya 1/P adalah 5% akan berlaku. The chances akan berlaku. Yang masalahnya, our perception, kalau tengok belah bawah tu, 50 tahun ARI rainfall or flood for a given period will occur every 50 years. Tak betul. Kerana yang sebenarnya adalah average akan berlaku. Sama atau lebih. For any given years. Yang kedua dia, kalau dah berlaku hari ni, dia tak akan berlaku, dia tunggu 50 tahun lagi. Kalau 50 tahun ARI, kalau 100 tahun, mana 100 tahun? Tak juga, kerana chancesnya adalah 1%. Mana dia boleh berlaku lagi? Tengok belah kanan tu. Next one, magnitude dia tak sama. Kerana every year, bila kita masukkan data baru, dia akan berubah. ARI itu akan berubah. Magnitude dia akan berubah. ARI dia sama. 100 tahun, 50 tahun, 10 tahun. Tapi magnitude dia akan berubah kerana rainfall pattern berubah. Tahun ni kita lihat. Mana kita boleh agak typhoon punya echo, Rai. Tail of Rai typhoon. Even Matt kata kalau US punya di Hawaii punya Max tu center predict the cloud won't cross our main range. Bajan Titiwangsa, dia akan dump all the rain di Pahang. Tapi unlikely the chances nak patut dia tak cross, tapi dia cross juga. Cross and they dump the water. Perak dapat sikit, Selangor dapat banyak, and then Negeri Sembilan sikit, Melaka dapat sikit. There's the chances akan berlaku. Okay, next. Itulah ARI dengan AEP. ARI kita kena faham, average satu event itu akan berlaku mengikut tahun ya. Dan tak semesti jadi sekali. On average akan jadi sekali, tapi tak semesti sekali. Okay, itulah jawapan sebenarnya antara return period ARI. Kerana dulu tak buat purata average, sekarang sebab ada banyak sangat connotation di zaman dulu perception dia tak betul. Salah tafsiran, itu tambah average atau purata jadi ARI. Okay, next. Next, kita nak cerita tentang protection level. Kita translate pula. Maknanya berapa magnitude katakan di Masjid Jamek tu 10 tahun ARI 50 cubic meter per second. Kita translatekan kepada paras air, water level. Dan ini yang kita dapat. Contohnya protection level di setengah kawasan kita nakkan 50 tahun atau 100 tahun. Cara ringkasnya biasa for rural 25 to 50 years. Dan sepatutnya urban 100 years. Tapi di Malaysia tak jadi gitu. It's not like that. kita design, yes, so far under KL flood mitigation for all our band now is 100 years. Long sampai ke Kelang. But sekelilingnya Taman Seri Muda and all the minor drainage system less than 50 years. That's what happened. That's why December tadi, flood occur more than 100 years, overspill. Not our band at along the Sungai Kelang, tetapi from the minor system. That's why overspill for Sungai Rasau, not Sungai Kelang. Dia pusing balik enter into the Seri Muda area. Unlikely. Because of that, our TNB pun tutup all the system, our pump doesn't work. That's why flood for so many days. Until our pump work and then we can pump out the water out. Yeah. Pump the water out. Okay, this is protection level. That's why sekarang kita nak go more than 100 years. Normally the other country ban for major system of flood ban, they go more than 200 years. Ada yang 500 tahun, ada yang 1000 years pun ada. Yeah. It depends on level of investment we want to put. Now the question is, should we follow it? Should we change? Climate change is coming now. Yeah. And our match cakap baru ni keseragaman cuaca. Mana cuaca tak seragam lagi dah. Kita unlikely patut Timur Laut berlaku di belah pantai barat, but it happened. And last Monday, walaupun kita punya intermonsoon dah start, ya, tapi the first day dah ada flash flood. This is why. Yeah. Okay. The one thing that I can see, yang berlaku di Kuchai Lama and so on, not that the system not working. It's because banyak sampah yang menutupi inlet untuk masuk ke sistem saliran. Contohnya plastik, daun-daun. This is all non-point source. Bukan point source, non-point source. Tutup our inlet. That's why our water overflow, backup sampai masuk ke road system. Itu sebab road system kita, parking lot semua. Sebab air tak boleh go to the river. Tak boleh go to the drain. Okay, next. This is major system and minor system. Minor system dalam sistem saliran kecil, longkang, parit, our drain and so on. Major system should be level before our floor level building, and also our road also should not be inundated so long affect all the traffic. But it happened because our inlet stuck by certain unnecessary rubbish stuck or stop the water flow into the inlet. And our traffic also, we categorize as a major flood. We cannot take the major flood. Okay, next. Okay. It's the same thing, only that if 500 years flood happen, definitely all our system cannot take, because our design level now is less than 100 years, especially for urban area. And some urban area only 50 years. In Shah Alam, 50 years. Yeah. A design for 50 years. Okay, next. This is also the level protection of drainage system. So we should understand ARI and protection level. Our protection level will decrease if our maintenance, we don't do it properly. Just like I said, number one is non-point source. The floating rubbish or rubbish that accumulate within our compound. Not that from our house. No, that one the alam flora pick it up. The other type of non-point source that come from become a floating rubbish and so on. That will start our inlet and our drainage system. That will decrease our protection level. Should let's say we okay, one example, I did go to Kelang during the December event. Okay. At our pump house, we have 3 big pumps. 2 cubic meter per second. But only one pump can work. The other two cannot work because water doesn't come in through the pump system. It being stuck by rubbish at the screens. So the level between the pump area and upstream about 1 meter. Water cannot go in. So all the rubbish type that I saw at the stuck at the screen consists of plastics, leaf, branches, and those that come from either from river reserve or parking area or roadside drain and so on. It's not that DID or Majlis didn't maintain the screen. They do it periodically. But how often we have to clean it up, our screen, is depend on level investment also. And that really affect when storm event, major event come, it start our system and reduce our protection level, let's say from 50 years. For 3 pumps, if one pump works, meaning that at that particular time, our protection level only 10 years. 50 years.
Class.
Okay, next. It's a flash flood with, compared to the northeast monsoon. ARI value, yes, the same. They say 100 or maybe 500 and so on. Short duration for flat flight, 15 to 6 hours, minutes to 6 hours, while monsoon will go to more than almost to 3 days. Magnitude of rainfall, less normally for flash flood and more for monsoon, because this one we explained by Dr. Wong later on. The more time taken for the event, the higher ARI will become. The difference is that when for let's say 3 hours of ARI, the first 1 hour ARI may be less than the second or third hour of that event, because it's cumulative. Yeah, first hour plus the second hour plus the third hour, so it becomes 3 hours. That's why ARI increase. And the region normally West Coast subject to flash flood and East Coast to monsoon flood. And the thunderstorm event for now, inter-monsoon will be unpredictable. Orang kata tak seragam, like Matt cakap. It can, they say, like KPMet always send us the from the radar prediction. Normally after the rain about to fall, and then the radar will give the prediction. That's how unpredictable our tropical rainfall thunderstorm is. And the last one, the North Sea monsoon normally occur from November to March. Okay, next. This is flood map category that we produce at JPN. Normally we don't show it to public. This, for example, the government use this for our planning purposes and how to predict maybe flood will occur or not. We have the flood map normally done by our JD, very simple. There's a cadastral map, then we draw it. Flood hazard map, we put inside that using our model, flood area, flood depth, water flow, where from where to where, and the current land use. And then another one is flood risk map. We add in the residential buildings and then the development inside it. Okay, next. Is a flood risk map actually combination with flood hazard map plus a flood damage map. Flood damage map, when we put in, see flood hazard map, we put in all the development, the housing, the building inside it become plus risk map. And we have category low, very low, low risk, medium, depending how the land use is, and very high nobody very density, high density area. We have about 40 over towns in Malaysia for this kind of maps produced by DID. Okay, next. For DID manual, okay, mostly for our design purposes within DID and some of the consultant can use it. For DID engineering, nobody will use this one, DID manual. We refer to all so many topics in there, flood management until the mechanical service, electrical services. This is second version. The first version, the ID manual, produced in 1960s. It's very, very old. Yeah. And this is the second one. Maybe we're going to produce another one in the near future, because the weather pattern and the technology keep changing. Next. We also have MASMA. This is, people say sponge city and so on. MASMA actually good for flash flood, because it introduced a lot of, let's say, detection pond. Detection pond is good for flash flood and high intensity short duration type of storm. But they go to prolonged flood from the noise monsoon Timor or noise monsoon, is maybe won't work that well, because it covers very, very wide area, like what happened in December. I still remember, I stand by at our cultural center until decision had to make at that time, how we going to release water from, let's say, Batu Dam, Klang Gate, Smart Tunnel, and Batu Pond and so on. So a very delicate process, because we don't want everything to gush into Shah Alam at the same time. And when to release from Smart Tunnel, let's say. Because Smart Tunnel, we have to control it well so that it won't overflow into Klang River downstream. And we have to make sure that the low tide, then we release it to Selangor. If not, the event will be more catastrophic. What should happen recently? Okay. So MASMA, we're going to go for third edition in very, very soon, because it's a living document, we call it. We got to change due to different type of scenario, especially for new rainfall pattern and so on. Next. This is level protection for under MASMA also. I think we have discussed it previously. Good. Only that this thing, we have it quantity and quality. Apart from that, MASMA also have the erosion sediment control inside, so that you won't create any mud flow type of disaster during construction time. Next. Okay, this also MASMA. Only the way forward, the system that, let's say, the bungalow and the semi-detached, now we have what, 5, 10, and then for institutional building, I said 10 ARI. We send the cabinet to increase it, let's say, bungalow from 5 to 10, and then infrastructure from 5 to 10, and institutional building and complete from 10 ARI to 20 ARI. For the rest, for minor system, for major system, mostly increase to 100. And some bungalow and semi-detached, we maintain at 50. Okay, and some spot, field and landscape area, we put at 20 for now to increase to 100. Okay, there's a new proposal from JPS. And flood and coastal bonds, we proposing to increase from 100 to 200 years. Some country, I would say, about 500 years. And Netherlands now use 1,000 years for their coastal bonds. Okay, next. We have about 27 HP legal procedure. Mostly, it's talk about ARI and design storm. Only we use this for ungauged catchment. Yeah. For gauge catchment, you can directly use whatever measure by the flow meter for that particular area. But for ungauged area, we use HP, 27 numbers already. Can refer to the ID website and our hydraulical division and also Praban to get this HP manual and so on. Okay, next. I think that's about it for ARI. We can explain, and I hope the definition can be understood easily. If not, maybe my colleague, Dr. Isham, Dr. Anan, or even Dr. Wong can elaborate furthermore. Thank you for listening.
Terima kasih Dato', very interesting paper, very good. We'll have our question later lah, ya, selepas all the panelists present their paper. So the second one is the topic is impact of climate change on Malaysia coastline, the sea level rise. By the way, there is an element of ARI there. I think it's good that we also are exposed to this, and this will be presented by Ketua Pengarah Narim, ya, Dato' Nur Hisham. Silakan Dato'.
Terima kasih Tuan Haji Mansur. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning everyone. I don't know whether my presentation is already brought up. Can you see the slides?
Not yet, Dato'.
Do I have to share my slides?
Yeah, share.
Give me a minute. Sorry about this.
It's okay. Okay, bagus. Okay. Yeah, this one is the presentation, but not on the slideshow yet.
This is the PDF, right?
Yeah, you want to change it to the slideshow?
Hang on. This is a PDF version.
Oh, PDF. Okay. I think there is also a slideshow for PDF.
Sea level dia akan meningkat daripada 2020 sampai 2100. Meningkat air laut dah.
I seem to find that command. Sorry.
Where's the slideshow for this? I'm not familiar actually. Yang ini.
If I'm not mistaken, you can click the view.
Okay. And
then you can go to
hide the sidebar, is it?
Single page. If I need
Okay. Yes. Oh, you got to scroll.
Okay,
okay, Dato',
I'll just have to scroll down and scroll up.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry for that. Okay. Now I was actually requesting that this presentation be put last, and it's a bit last minute, but because it's not really about floods, but we are looking at things from the sea, and even in the sea, there is a level of what you call probability involved, and we threw this subject into the presentation today because sea levels or tides has an effect on how serious a flood is, especially when in the case of Taman Srimoda and also up to Batu Tiga, the influence of the sea, which is to say from the tide at Port Klang, it can affect the flows from the hinterland all the way up Sungai Klang. But anyway, this talk is a bit, it can stand alone as a report of the sea level rise from 2020 to 2100, and just gives you an idea on how we expect changes will be happening on the coastline. And it's not directly related to DRI and the level of protection for floods, but it just gives you a picture of what's happening on the sea. So that's why I thought it could be best put last, but we have already scheduled it such. So let me show you an overall picture of what the sea level predictions are based on our studies at Naharim. Okay, here is a map of Malaysia, and you can see these areas which are marked in blue, where the contour elevation is probably less than 1 meter. And you will see that there's a sea level rise that we predict for 2100 based on the most recent modeling outputs. We'll find that it's 0.68, 0.68, 0.7 on the East Coast, 0.7 down here in Johor. And if you look across onto Sabah and Sarawak, the figures are about there, 0.7, 0.73, 0.74. So in general, the sea level rise that we expect to see in 80 years from now, at 2100, is a sea level rise of about 0.7 meters. So what does that do to coastal flooding? And here is a picture of the coastline with respect to coastal flooding. Okay, the slide is in Bahasa Melayu, so I will switch to Bahasa Melayu now. Jadi pantai Malaysia ni sekarang ni kita anggap dia lebih kurang panjang, dia lebih kurang 8,000 km, dan di semenanjung Malaysia ada kawasan-kawasan yang berisiko ni berdasarkan ketinggian dan kelandaian pantai ni. Kita dapati bahawa semenanjung Malaysia ada 1,015 km, 1,160 km di Sabah dan 700 km di Sarawak. Jadi kawasan pantai yang berisiko ni 2,875 km, yang mana kita lihat kebanyakannya kawasan-kawasan pantai kita yang landai ni adalah kawasan pantai yang berlumpur ataupun pasirnya halus, dan ianya di kawasan-kawasan yang pertanian ada pertahanan iaitu ban pantai. Jadi di kawasan yang ada ban pantai ni, di situlah di mana dia sangat kata vulnerable, maknanya dia terdedah pada risiko banjir. Dan baru-baru ni ada daripada Global Climate Change Center, dia tunjukkan satu gambar yang agak mencemaskan sebab dia tunjukkan kawasan-kawasan yang mungkin tenggelam di Malaysia. Itu sekiranya tiada apa-apa pertahanan pantai. Jadi apa yang mereka buat adalah melihat daripada ketinggian pantai dan ketinggian paras laut pada tahun 2100, mengikut kita punya prediction lah. Jadi dia kata paras laut pada 2100 tinggi dia mungkin 4 meter, jadi kawasan-kawasan yang kurang pada 4 meter ni akan tenggelam. So it's very straightforward lah dia punya analysis. But di Narim kita tahu, sebab kita ada data yang lebih tepat, inilah di kawasan banjir pantai yang kita dapat peta kan. So berdasarkan peta-peta satelit dan juga maklumat-maklumat ukur pada ban-ban pantai di semenanjung yang kita ada. So this is the image right. Jadi kita dapati memang ada kawasan-kawasan yang akan tenggelam sekiranya kita tidak meningkatkan pertahanan pantai kita. Okey, perkara yang kedua adalah storm surge. Alright. So now kita switch balik ke bahasa Inggeris pula. Now this is the wave conditions in the Straits of Malacca, and what are the waves? Waves, and in coastal engineering, waves dia macam sama. The theory is the same as in electronics, in waveforms. So you look at this figure called HS. Now in coastal engineering, HS stands for a significant wave height. So if you have a long series of coastal data, wave data, you will be able to plot the waves into a distribution that is almost like a Rayleigh distribution, and you will get this HS called a significant wave height. Definition of significant wave height is 1/3 of the highest wave in the sample or in the population of waves that you have captured. Now, over the years, what we've done at Narim is we have used what available data that we have available to us, and most of this come from the UK Met Office. So these are from satellite measurements of the sea surface, and they have managed to produce time series of waves, and from that we produce the ARI on the on the type of waves that we have observed. Okay, what we find that for the Straits of Malacca, that for a significant angle, so this as waves approach the shoreline, that they will come in at an angle, and at various angles we have studied it and we have modeled it numerically, and we find that it is possible that the HS or the significant wave heights over the years will increase to about 4 if you use it 100 based on a written period of 100 years. So the HS of 2.97 is what we normally use for design calculations. So 2.97, and you will see that this increase is gradual, and when we put it into the ARI clusters, if you want to say it, 1 to 5 years, there's an annual increase of 3.48%. 5 to 10 years, 1.22. 10 to 30 years, 0.43. 30 to 50 years, 0.17. And towards the end, 50 to 100 years, the annual increase is 0.09. This is how what we have derived from the information that we have plotted. And similarly, for the South China Sea, and there is also an annual increase by 4.24% for ARI 1 to 5 years. What it says is that for return period of 1 to 5 years, you will find that the HS is you'll find it is increasing. Yeah, ARI. So as in typical ARI data sets, you see that the higher the ARI, the larger the magnitude of the parameter that you're monitoring, just like in rainfall. So in HS, you see that there is this gradual increase forward as if you choose a higher return period. And this is a sample of the calculations. Now you can get all this from Nahrim's Malaysian Coastal and Oceanography Infrastructure Vulnerability Handbook, all in one, main report. So you can come and have a look at it at Nahrim, or I'm not sure whether it's still available for sale. So this is the sample calculation. So we look for Kedah and Penang, and just for Kelantan and Terengganu. So for Kelantan and Terengganu, we are exposed to the South China Sea. So it's quite a long open sea. So we call it a longer fetch length. So you expect bigger waves there. And for Kedah and Penang, which is the west coast of Peninsular Malaysia, it's protected by the island of Sumatra. So the wave heights are limited. So there's a difference between the two. And of course, comparison of significant wave heights, we find that in this image, the South China Sea, it's of course a bigger, it's above 3.2, and a bit more sheltered areas, you get smaller waves. Okay, now let's look into how it works into the protection crash levels. So when you design coastal protection, especially on revetments that are protecting the coast. So revetments are hard structures. And in coastal protection strategy, you only use hard structures when you have no choice. So we try to avoid using hard structures now. And for sandy beaches, we will prefer to use beach nourishment rather than hard structures. But when you have to put up hard structures, that tells you that you have to protect the property or the infrastructure at all costs. So here is how it affects. If you look at 2020, so for the current situation, now we are looking at mean high water spring as the basis of the design water level. From the design water level, we then predict a sea level rise as a factor, as a safety factor. And from that, we pick the ARI we want with respect to the significant wave height. And then once we design, we get a general crash level of 3.06. So these are the calculations that we have produced at Nahrim to look into the effect of a rising significant wave height with respect to return period and see what happens to design. So Kedah, Terengganu, and Kota Kinabalu are the areas that we've looked at in this example. So this is how the crash level is designed. The mean high water spring is a basic design level. Mean high water spring is the average highest tide that you can see happening along throughout the year. So that plus the sea level rise factor, and then these two here, wind setup and wave setup. So this essentially constitutes the surge that we get during a storm. And using the significant wave height at the 10-meter water depth. So this is a figure that we use in our calculations, and you will get you will produce that crash level of the design. So I'm avoiding going into details of designing a coastal revetment. So here are some calculations which we've put in. It's a lot of figures in here, but essentially this is an analysis that we did in Nahrim to look at how with the return period increasing, and you'll find that there is a percentage increase in the general crest level of the structure. So, all right, this is a typical layout of a rock development. So this is the design still water level, or the one that I said we use the mean high water spring as the guide. And then from then on, we will calculate what kind of waves can come in and break on the structure and then run up the structure. So if you design strictly based on the run up, so as the waves break, it will run up, and the calculations done to show to what extent is the run up. Now, if you design your embankment not to be overtopped, then this structure goes all the way up. So it's a huge structure. But in most cases, we do allow for a certain level of overtopping. And that is all influenced by how much funds you have to build your embankment and how much space you have. Because the larger the structure, the more space you have, and you may have to acquire land to provide that protection. So that's, the economics are there. And this is a typical layout of a rock embankment from the side. And you'll find that is the crest. These are the key elements of it. We have an underlayer armor, and also you have the main armor, primary armor layer. So these are all usually rocks, and sometimes concrete units, interlocking concrete units. So consider the fact that as you design for bigger waves, you will require a larger structure because you have to cater for the run-up. And to dissipate the energy of the waves, you have to consider the size of your armor unit. So the bigger waves, the deeper the water, the structure's integrity is highly, it's more challenged. So if you have to put more larger units, of course, there is the issue of bearing capacity of the whole structure. And you will have to then include soil foundation improvements. So what do we conclude from this? There is a difference in the design of coastal development works when you look at the difference from the current condition to the year 2100, because as the mean sea level goes up, you see the tide levels will also rise. So when you do design, your design water level then becomes something much higher, and of course it'll be deeper. And now wave is limited by the depth. So as waters become deeper in your coastal areas, larger waves can penetrate into the shallow water and then hit your it can penetrate closer to your structures and break on it. Therefore, for 2100, you find that there is an increase. Yeah, it's all positives here going up, an increase in the crest width, increase in the crest level, and the armor size. So this is a typical sketch of what is the current condition and in year 2100. So you are going to see larger bunds, higher bunds, and more solid coastal protection, or more larger units, concrete units to protect the shorefront. So essentially that's my presentation. So as a parting the takeaway message from all this is that sea level rise is expected to occur. So you will have to consider a higher level of protection than what you see now in the coastline. So if you have bunds protecting the coastal land, these bunds will have to be built bigger and stronger. And you have to consider the kind of armor that you need to protect them from the energy of the waves. So if you have development or property on the shoreline, and yours is probably, let's say it's a hotel or it's a tourist attraction by the sea, consider that waves are expected to run much higher up during the higher tides. So there is an issue of the development setback from the highest reach of the tide to your property. So remember, you have a high water level, that's where the highest tide is, and then if you have waves will then be able to break closer to shore, and the run-up of the waves will definitely exceed that high water level. So you have a high water level and you have waves that can break and run further up. And if your building or your property is too close to the highest tide level, then imagine that if the waves break there, it will reach your property. So with the premise of sea level rise, we have to look into the strategies of development setback and also to improve the level of protection of our coastal bands and coastal developments. Thank you.
Terima kasih Datuk. Terima kasih Datuk Isham. Bit technical, tapi tak apa. I think many of the audience are also from technical background. The way they are looking at the companies that they are representing. Ramai yang berdaftar di bawah syarikat masing-masing. Dari situ kita boleh agak lah. Ramai juga yang dalam bidang teknikal dan khususnya bidang air. Jadi okay, dan the third presenter ialah Datuk Adnan. Tajuknya cerita ARI. Interesting tajuk Datuk. Ini kalau ada apa-apa soalan tolong catat dan nanti kita tanya selepas pembentangan yang keempat. Silakan Datuk.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi. Tuan Presiden MWA, Tuan Pengerusi, ahli-ahli panel, rakan-rakan dan peserta yang hadir pagi ini.
Waalaikumsalam.
Itulah saya ni untuk saya pagi ini saya ambil pendekatan untuk bercerita lebih daripada memberi penerangan secara teknikal. Tak benar lagi selalunya pembentangan yang saya hadir lebih teknikal, tapi saya cubalah nak cerita sikit pasal ARI ini. Jadi seterusnya kita mulakan. The next one please. Jadi yang ini, ada satu peristiwa, ni peristiwa benar berlaku dalam, kalau tak silap saya, hujung tahun 80-an ataupun awal 90-an. Banjir di kawasan pengairan dan kampung-kampung dekat dengan kawasan Changlun. Jadi petani, penduduk di kampung semua tu memang tak puas hati lah. Marah-marah, jadi Tuan DO panggil mesyuarat sama dengan ketua-ketua jabatan lain untuk bertemu dengan mangsa-mangsa banjir. Jadi bila mula mesyuarat tu, kecoh. Orang ramai yang hadir tu marah-marah, hentak meja. Sebab apa banjir ni? Tuan DO buat apa? Dan yang kena teruk biasalah kalau banjir, JPS lah yang kena. Apa JPS buat, tak buat apa. Jadi huru-hara sedikit. Jadi tiba-tiba DO tanya, siapa dalam ramai-ramai ni boleh tahan hujan? Jangan bagi hujan turun. Semua terdiam. Tak kata apa, terpinga-pinga. Jadi tenanglah sikit suasana mesyuarat tu. Dan tak ada jawapan. Dan seterusnya seperti yang kita tahu, hujan tetap berlaku. Dan kalau tak ada hujan, tak adalah banjir. Dan sebab hujan itulah dia punya sumber air larian surface flow di bumi dan mengalir di kawasan rendah dan parit sungai, semua tahu. Tapi ada hujan tidak bermakna ada banjir, itu pun kita tahu. Dan jika larian dan kadar air kurang daripada kemampuan parit, okeylah, tak adalah banjir, hujan ada. Tapi tak ada hujan juga tak bermakna tak ada banjir. Umpamanya jika ban pecah, ampangan pecah dan hujan tu turun jauh daripada kawasan kita. Contohnya pekan. Dekat pekan tu masa musim terkujur, tengah hari panas, orang tengah shopping-shopping, pergi market, boleh ada banjir. Sebabnya hujan jauh di sebelah hulu. Paip air pecah pun, ini Tuan Haji Mansur punya kerja, kalau pecah, banjir juga di kawasan tu. Semua ni tak ada hujan tapi boleh banjir. Tapi kita pun terimalah hakikat negara kita ni, hujanlah penyebab utama kejadian banjir dan kerap berlaku. Sebab itu kita gunakan dari segi teknikal, kita gunakan nilai kemungkinan atau kebarangkalian kejadian, peristiwa lagi baik, peristiwa hujan sebagai petanda untuk menilai kadar air, permukaan tanah dan banjir. Jadi kita kata, kita gunakan istilah ARI, ni statistik ya, untuk menilai kejadian satu banjir dan kekerapannya bila kemungkinan akan berlaku. Jadi kita pun kena tahu definisi ARI ini dari segi peristiwa yang kata peristiwa hujan. ARI untuk peristiwa hujan. Peristiwa itu, setiap kali peristiwa itu berlaku ialah peristiwa yang tersendiri, independent event. Maknanya peristiwa itu tidak mempengaruhi peristiwa sebelumnya ataupun mempengaruhi peristiwa yang akan datang. Maknanya, kalau berlaku peristiwa ARI 100 hari ini, besok pun ARI 100 boleh berlaku, lusa pun boleh berlaku sebab dia independent event, tersendiri. Ini telah diterangkan oleh Datuk Dr. Nasir. Yang itu penting. Jadi kalau kita, lagi satu yang saya nak tegaskan sini, ARI hujan tidak semestinya sama dengan AIR peristiwa banjir. Dua peristiwa yang berlainan. Jadi sebagai contoh, jika kita ada dua lembangan sungai yang sama dari segi ciri-ciri geografi, ARI 100 di lembangan A katakanlah, peristiwa itu berlaku, peristiwa yang sama berlaku, tetapi di lembangan A mungkin tidak banjir kerana ada sistem tempatan banjir. Tapi di B akan banjir kerana tidak ada sistem tempatan banjir ataupun tidak mampu untuk peristiwa itu. Jadi kita kena tahu ada beza. ARI peristiwa hujan dengan tidak bermakna ARI peristiwa banjir. Dua perbezaan, tapi kita gunakan ARI untuk memberi nilai. Jadi saya nak bagi contoh, kalau kita lihat slide yang lagi satu ni. Next please. Sebenarnya kita ni guna ARI dalam membuat keputusan harian dalam semua keadaan peristiwa yang kita hadapi. Kita tak sedar. Kita guna bahasa harian, biasanya, kerapnya, kadang-kadang tak benar seumur hidup untuk memberi gambaran kebarangkalian peristiwa itu berlaku daripada pengalaman kita dah lepas dan sebagai ahli masyarakat. Jadi untuk memberi gambaran, kejadian ni besar ke kecil, selalu ke tak selalu berlaku. Jadi kalau kita kata gunakan istilah cerita P. Ramlee itu, kekerapan peristiwa, dia ada yang tu banyak-banyak, sikit-sikit, jarang-jarang, kadang-kadang. Dan saya tambah satu, mati hidup balik pun tak akan berlaku. Jadi kalau kita nak cuba bagi nilai, kita kata banyak-banyak tu ARI 1 tahun. Selalu berlaku. Banyak. Sikit-sikit ARI 5 tahun katakanlah. Jarang-jarang ARI 50 tahun. Kadang-kadang 100 tahun. Yang mati hidup balik dia mungkin 10,000 tahun lah berlaku. Jadi nak bagi gambaran tu. Jadi maknanya ARI, konsep ARI ni kita gunakan setiap hari, tapi sebab kita, berdasarkan pengalaman kita dan kita juga ada sistem komputer kepala kita ni boleh tahu. Dan kita membuat keputusan berdasarkan nilai-nilai ARI dan juga risiko jika ia berlaku. Itu nak bagi gambaran yang bahawa kita guna ARI dalam semua keadaan peristiwa dalam kehidupan harian kita. Jadi kita lihat next slide ya. Saya nak bagi contoh penggunaan ARI ni, tak nak guna banjir tapi kita kaitkan. Sambil kita cerita-cerita ni kita cuba fikirkan kejadian banjir. Katalah ni nak raya ni, kita ni mak bapak ni, kita ada 2 orang anak, menantu 2 orang, cucu 4 orang, seorang 2. Rumah kita ada 2 bilik aja. Jadi sekarang ni kita nak merancang, nak raya ni, daripada pengalaman lepas, kita tahu setiap tahun kurang-kurangnya seorang anak balik keluarga. Jadi 4 orang akan datang tidur raya ni. Jadi kalau kata dari segi ARI, 1 tahun lah. Kita tahu the return interval tu is 1 year. Setiap tahun kurang-kurangnya. Tapi yang lagi satu tu balik rumah menantu. Tapi kadang-kadang kita kata ARI 5 tahun lah ya. Semua balik dengan cucu-cucu. Tapi ingatlah rumah kita bilik 2, satu untuk kita, satu anak. Jadi yang balik tu kena tidur luar. Dan juga kata-kata setiap daripada pengalaman 10 tahun kan, semua tu balik bawa juga besan kita, bawa juga kakak, adik, ipar lah, semua saudara mara, 10 orang. Apa tu? 15 orang lah kata. Jadi ARI 10 tahun ni kita kalau kata nak peristiwa tu 15 orang datang nak beraya kat rumah kita ni. Nak tidur. Jadi sekarang ni nak raya kita kena buat, katalah kita nak buat keputusan. Jadi saya tambah dalam contoh ni, mungkin kadang-kadang 50 orang nak datang raya ni. Kata okeylah ARI 50 tahun ni macam mana nak buat jika berlaku. Dan kalau kita mati hidup balik ke, ada tak 200 orang nak datang tidur beraya kat rumah kita. Oh, then we say mungkin 1 in 10,000 years. Tapi peristiwa tu kemungkinan berlaku tapi dia punya purata ulangan dia tinggi ya. Tapi kita tengok yang sekarang ni, katalah kita ni sekarang ni dah pencen. Jadi kita tahu kalau biasanya raya yang akan datang ni seorang akan datang, ARI 1 keluarga dia akan datang. Jadi tak payah buat apa-apa lah. Macam biasa aja. Tapi kita fikir-fikirkan katalah peristiwa ARI 5 tahun berlaku. Kedua-dua nak balik dengan cucu-cucu. Jadi kita fikir, boleh tak? Jadi kata bincang-bincang kata okey. Bolehlah sekejap je tidur kat luar tu. Tapi dalam hati juga bila kita tengok-tengok tahun lepas ada sekali dulu tu dia orang balik ramai-ramai. Menantu kita ni kecil hati dia tak puas hati, dia kena tidur luar. Dia yang muda ke dia balik sampai lambat ke dia tidur luar. Jadi kita rasa kalau kita tak buat apa-apa, kalau berlaku peristiwa ARI 5 tahun tu, mungkin menantu kita tu kecil hati dan tak nak balik lagi raya ramai-ramai. Jadi mak bapak ni pun risau, dia kata kita kena bersedia untuk menghadapi peristiwa ARI 5 tahun. Jadi bila kita buat pemilihan, kita pun fikir juga kita mampu tak tambah 1 bilik. Kalau tak mampu, apa kita boleh buat? Dan tapi kita tak nak menantu tu merajuk. Kita nak tengok cucu. Jadi pun kalau semua balik seronok, riang. Jadi kita buat keputusan untuk mengambil tindakan bersedia untuk peristiwa ARI 5 tahun. Kita tambah 1 bilik lagi. Kena belanja sikit lah. Tak apa. Anak-anak punya pasal kita buat jugalah. Tapi pun kita tahu juga ni tak sempat raya sebulan lagi. Kita nak kena ada rumah ni, nak kena siapkan tak sempat. Jadi kita buat pengumuman. Sama macam kerajaan buat pengumuman. Kita akan ada projek. Mak bapak nak buat projek bilik tambah 1 lagi. Tapi tak siap tahun ni. Tahun lepas garanti ada. Sementara tu kita kata, tapi baliklah. Semua balik. Tapi tahun ni aja nak minta tolong bawa ni bantal, tilam, semua tu bawa sendiri dululah. Tahun ni, tahun depan kita akan lebih selesa. Jadi mak bapak pun kata kita pun dah lantik konsultan ni. Lepas raya, konsultan kita bagi sebulan siapkan ni, lepas raya kita panggil tender, kita buat. Tahun lepas okey. Kalau tak siap, kita belasah konsultan. Konsultan juga yang kena ya. Projek macam ni. Jadi itulah nak bagi gambaran, banjir pun sama. Jadi kita kata ada projek, kita pilih ARI 1 hingga 5 tahun, 5 tahun, berdasarkan kemampuan, keadaan. Macam itulah, banjir pun macam tu. Kita pilih apa yang mampu. Jadi maknanya kadang-kadang dalam hati kita nak bersedia untuk peristiwa 100 tahun ARI. Tapi kemampuan tak ada. Jadi kadang-kadang kita kena rendahkan hasrat kita tu, mungkin ARI 50 tahun, 20 tahun. Dan dalam kalau kita tengok MASMA pun ada cadangan-cadangan pilihan ARI untuk reka bentuk.
Datuk, your slide dah off lah.
No, I need your side to minta tolong control.
Sorry kejap it will be on in a minute.
Okey, teruskan Datuk.
Ya.
Teruslah bercerita tu boleh lah terus. Cuma nak notify slide tu dah off.
Jadi tak, saya kata kalau
kan?
MASMA dia ada cadang-cadang, memberi cadangan, panduan macam mana nak pilih nilai-nilai ARI untuk reka bentuk. Tapi itu hanya panduan. Biasanya kita nak setinggi mana yang boleh. ARI 200 tahun ke 1000 tahun, tapi kemampuan satu, bajet tak ada, dan kadang-kadang nak buat projek-projek seperti tempatan banjir juga memerlukan sokongan orang ramai. Kadang-kadang kita terpaksa buat pengambilan tanah, buat pemindahan kepada yang terlibat, yang itu satu kekangan. Jadi kita kata tak bolehlah. Jadi kita terima aja apa yang kita boleh buat, yang itulah kita mampu. Lebih-lebih pada tu yang kita kata non-structural measure, kita minta tolong siapa yang terlibat tu untuk mengambil tindakan tindakan untuk mengurangkan kesan banjir. Itu yang kita kata. Dari segi contoh yang kita kata nak raya ni, mak bapak mengambil tindakan structural measure, buat bilik tambahan baru, anak-anak non-structural measure, bawa bantal tilam sendiri sementara sementara projek nak siap. Jadi itulah kita katakan menggunakan ARI dalam pertimbangan dan pemilihan tindakan-tindakan mengurangkan risiko. It is about risk. Ya? Itulah dia kalau nak pergi gambaran ARI, penggunaan ARI sama dalam apa-apa peristiwa dalam kehidupan kita. Jadi kita lihat the next slide. Ya. Dan ada beberapa lagi kita punya dalam budaya kita ni, ungkapan-ungkapan yang gunakan sebenarnya adalah berkaitan dengan penggunaan ARI dalam kehidupan kita. Kita tengok ni, sediakan payung sebelum hujan. Nasihat ya. Bersedialah. Kita tahu dalam hidup kita ni kita selalu menghadapi cabaran-cabaran. Jadi ini sebagai nasihat untuk bersedia. Tapi kalau kita lihat payung tu, kita kata siapa yang bawa payung tiap-tiap hari? Kalau bawa pun dalam kereta, kalau dalam kereta pun dalam boot kereta. Hujan pun kita tak boleh buat apa. Jadi sebab apa? Sebab ARI. Kita tahu daripada pengalaman kita yang lepas, kita boleh tahu hari ni hujan, petang ni hujan, besok hujan. Kalau hujan pun macam mana? Lebat ke tak lebat apa? Dan kalau lebat sangat pun, kita tahu macam mana nak menghadapinya. Kita duduk dalam office ke, dalam kereta ke, tumpang rumah orang sementara hujan reda. Dan kalau kita nak redah juga hujan, kalau demam pun boleh recover lah. Macam COVID lah insyaAllah ya. Jadi ARI ni kita guna tanpa disedari, tapi kita boleh bagi nilai-nilainya. Dan kita kalau kata kereta tu, kenapa kita bawa spare tire 1 je, bukan 4? Sebab kita kata ARI untuk 4 tayar tu pancit, Saya rasa tak pernah lah ya, mungkin 1 in 100 or 200 years, 4 tayar sekali pancit. Tapi kita buat satu. Yang satu tu pun kalau kita cuba ingat balik, berapa kerap tayar kita pancit ni? 1 in 2 years, 2 tahun, ARI 2 tahun, ARI 5 tahun. Jadi kita bawa aja tayar spare tu merata-rata. Dan kalau kita tengok dari segi teknologi, kemudahan yang dah sedia ada, banyak kereta-kereta yang tidak lagi perlu bawa spare tayar. ARI, kita tahu kita boleh menghadapi risikonya. Dan kalau kita motosikal pula, kenapa motosikal tak bawa spare tayar? Dia tak bawa spare tayar, satu lagi segi dia punya design lah. Tapi kalau lah kata dia risau, probability itu tinggi, dan pembonceng lah kena tolong pikul spare tayar untuk motosikal. Tapi kalau kita lihat budaya orang yang bawa motosikal ni, tengok mana-mana pun, kalau motosikal pancit, rosak, motosikal yang lain akan berhenti tolong. Tapi kalau kereta, tayar pancit, semua tengok aja. Kecuali pemandu dia handsome-handsome macam Cahaya ni ada lah juga nak berhenti tanya. Jadi this is ARI. Kita pun buat keputusan nak bawa spare tayar, tak ada spare tayar, nak bawa payung, tak ada payung. Dan yang bawa payung pun kalau kata setiap hari, zaman dulu lah 60-an tu, kita tahu ceti aja bawa payung tiap-tiap hari. Itu pun bukan sebab hujan. Sebab mempertahankan diri daripada anjing dan si pengutang yang ganas-ganas tu. So it's for different purpose. Lagi satu, kalau kita tengok ini mungkin coastal specialist ni macam Dr. Wong dan Datuk Hisham yang inilah, kalau takut di lambung ombak, jangan berumah di tepi pantai. You know the risk. Kita kena tahu risiko mana-mana kita duduk. Dan kalau kawasan tu kawasan banjir, tahu dah, tak boleh marah-marah dah. Kita duduk situ, kita sediakan buat persiapan untuk keselamatan kita, keselesaan kita. Dan kalau berlaku banjir, kita terima. Kita dah tahu apa nak buat. Itu maknanya kalau takut di lambung ombak, jangan berumah di tepi pantai. Budaya kita tu, ARI lah kita katakan. Kalau berlaku, apa kita perlu buat dan agak-agak bila berlaku tu. Jarang-jarang, selalu. Jadi apa tindakan yang ni? Jadi kalau kita betul-betul tak mampu, takut, tak bersedia, jangan tinggal di situ. Pindah di tempat lain. Itu pilihan masing-masing. Dan lagi satu, kita tengok sekali bah, sekali pasti berubah. Yang ni kita tahu. Ini memberi rangsangan, motivasi untuk kita bangkit semula jika menghadapi cabaran seperti banjir. Dan ini betul. Kalau zaman dulu, ini sebab apa? Sebab tanah. Jadi setiap kali banjir, tanah lebih subur. Jadi kalau saya punya pengalaman, banjir, masa saya kecil-kecil dulu, masa banjir, kasut hilang, hanyut. Tapi lepas banjir saya dapat kasut baru. Jadi ada juga kebaikannya dapat kasut baru. Dan mulai hari itu, bila balik rumah, kasut dah tak tinggal lagi dekat bawah. Angkat, bawa naik, tahu atas para. We learn from the lesson. Jadi ada kebaikan bah atau banjir. Kita jangan ingat semua musibah. Kesannya kadang-kadang ada. Baik kita lebih kuat, lebih bersedia, lebih bergembira, senang hati. Dan seterusnya, kita tengok the next slide ni. Jadi selalu orang tanya, kita dengar ramai orang tanya tak.
Datuk, minta maaf Datuk Nan, kalau boleh wrap up dalam few more minutes.
Okey. Last one ni. Jadi kita banyak orang tanya ni, peristiwa banjir ni tak boleh ke kita selesaikan? Jadi kita mengambil iktibar peristiwa bah besar di zaman Nabi Nuh. Nabi Nuh ni mendapat ramalan dan amaran banjir besar akan berlaku. Dan yang ini yang sahih, yang diyakini daripada Tuhan. Dah ada dah. Tapi kalau kita tengok ARI itu, ARI berapa agaknya bah ni? 3,000 tahun? 5,000 tahun? Jadi pada masa itu amaran dah ada, sahih kita tahu akan berlaku. ARI dia 3,000 tahun. Apa pilihan yang ada? Apakah kita nak buat sistem tempatan banjir? Sempat ke? Besar tu. Jadi mungkin membazir. Kita buat sekali tapi kegunaannya kemungkinan ialah 3,000 tahun baru guna lagi sekali. Sementara tu tak ada. Sebab tu smart tunnel kita guna untuk transport juga sebab ini. Jadi dia membuat pilihan untuk membina bahtera yang besar. Bukan buat parit ke tali air tu, tak ada. Dia berkata, okay, let's buat ni bahtera yang besar. Dan dengan membuat bahtera yang besar ni, tujuannya dia menarik perhatian. Ada orang ramai tak percaya, tak apa. Tapi orang semua dah bercerita dan kita tahu jika berlaku banjir, orang tu kita dah tahu dah dekat mana bahtera tu. Your escape route tu dah ada. So this is communication in flood design. Dan katanya bahtera tu dibina di atas lereng bukit. Maknanya bila hujan mula, air mula naik, memang secara natural orang akan lari ke atas bukit dan menuju ke bahtera. So there is an escape route dah disediakan dalam pengurusan banjir ni. Jadi iktibar yang kita ambil ni ialah banjir lebih besar mungkin akan berlaku. Kita tak boleh kata kita boleh atasi sepenuhnya. Tapi kita perlukan yang sekarang ni JPS tengah usahakan ialah sistem ramalan dan amaran banjir yang awal dan diyakini, dipercayai. Dan sistem komunikasi yang berkesan untuk banjir. Dan kita perlu fikirkan bukan semua penyelesaian adalah berbentuk struktural, tapi penting ialah non-structural dan yang seimbang dan peranan kerajaan dan pemegang taruh stakeholder yang adil. Public participation is important. Jadi mesejnya ni ialah banjir yang lebih besar boleh berlaku dan kita tak mampu untuk mengelak sepenuhnya itu. Jadi Tuan Pengerusi, itulah cerita saya ni. Kalau nak sambung lagi boleh kita jumpa di kedai kopi mana-mana. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Datuk Adnan. Baguslah ceritanya, seronok dengar. Cerita kampung kan. Jadi orang lebih faham lah kan. Orang yang layman di sini lah. Interesting. Anyway, kalau ada apa-apa question tolong catat dulu. Okay, our last paper from Dr. Wong. Tajuknya Rainfall Trend and Flood Detention. Mungkin sedikit technical tapi tak apa. We just go on. Silakan Doktor.
Terima kasih. Thank you Tuan Haji Mansur. Good morning President MWA dan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, datuk-datuk. Okay. I be going a bit technical but a bit challenging lah, a bit mind-blocking type of presentation. Okay, I hope you bear with me. Okay, I think I no need to explain the ARI and return period lah. I think have been explained well by the earlier panelists. Okay, so we know that the more severe event, so it's less frequent lah. I think just now Dr. Adnan worded it very nicely. Okay. Very good. I think hope everybody understand what is AI and how we going to face it and how to tackle it, how to manage it. Okay. I will proceed to some data analysis. Okay. My part, I have actually done some data analysis on 3 stations in Klang Valley. Okay, in Upper Klang. One is at the Klang Gate Dam. Okay, Klang Gate Dam. We actually collected data, okay, for the 3 hours annual maximum. Every year we collected data from mid of 1975 until 2020. So each year we have a 3-hour rainfall data, a maximum value for each year. And this is we plot it out throughout the year. Then we find that there's an increasing trend. This is average line, okay, mean average line. Throughout this data, we can see that there's an increasing trend in the upper catchment, okay, in Klang Gate Dam. We also did it in JPS Sampang. Okay, all these are very reliable data lah, because this is all located within the JPS control area. Okay, we can see also similar trend happening. Okay. We also did the analysis on this Ibu Pejabat JPS in Jalan Salahuddin there. Okay. So we can also see there's a increasing trend in the annual maximum throughout this almost 45 years of data. Okay. What does it mean? Okay. So we also did the frequency analysis. Okay. Because I think with this data, we can do a frequency analysis. We divide the data into two parts. We divide the data into the earlier half and the later half, okay? And do a frequency analysis on the data itself. And also did one for the whole range of the duration, 45 years, okay? Because definitely, I think, if we use the recent half, because the data is higher, okay? The data is higher. So we normally will get a higher rainfall intensity for the same return period. Okay. This is the plot for the Klang Gate Dam, Ampangan Kenting Klang. Okay. The middle line is we use the whole range of data, the almost 45 years of data. This is the return period. Down here is the ARI. Here is the rainfall depth for the 3-hour storm. Okay. We just look at the 100 years and this is the 200 years data. Okay. For this station, okay, if we just use the full range of data and compare, we use the recent half of the data and do the analysis, you can see that there's an increase in rainfall depth for the same return period. Let's say if we use the whole range of data to do the analysis, the 200 years is somewhere around 165. Okay. But if we use the half range, this 165 may fall within the maybe just 70 years of a return period only, not 200 years. Although we think that we are using the 200 years data to design, but based on the recent data, it may be fall within the 70 years return ARI only, not 200 years ARI. So we are designing something like a 70 ARI based on recent data. But this is only we use the recent half. Let's say what happened if we use the recent 10 years. This line maybe go higher. Okay. So are we designing our system, although we based on the rainfall data analysis, because normally in frequency analysis, we explained by Dr. Adnan, each events are independent. Okay. So it's true lah. Okay. If it's independent, the longer data we have, the more accurate the frequency analysis will be. Okay. But I think there are reasons. I think everybody know the reason why the rainfall increasing throughout the year. The same thing happened to JPS Ampang. This is the whole range of data we use. This is the half of the recent half of the data we use for analysis. It's the same. Like 200 years we design now. If we use the full range, but half of it, if you use the half of the data, it may become 60+ year AI only. Okay, not 200 years. And the same case is go to the HQ of JPS. Even worse, here we design for this, and after this we have only roughly around 50 years only. If we design for 200 years, we actually get 50 years of protection level only. Okay, although we use assuming 200 years of data. Okay, these are some findings we have lah. Okay, a discussion on this is very. I think we can see that generally the annual maximum rainfall depth trend is generally increasing throughout almost 50 years of record. We can see just now the trend is increasing. So based on the frequency analysis on the data, using the later half of the data set give much higher rainfall depth for the same AI as compared to the whole data set. This is what we try to highlight here lah. Definitely, I think audience, I think you all possibly know what is happening lah. One of the major reason maybe is climate change. Okay, and also maybe there's also a lot of literature talking about heat island effect lah. Because for 3-hour storm is a very localized convective type of rainfall. If a whole city is, I think, fully paved, with concrete, actually the temperature will be higher. So if the daytime is very hot, so there's a lot of evaporation happening because of the higher temperature within the heat island. Then normally the evening it will be a convective type of rainfall will fall. A thunderstorm will occur, short duration localized one. So this may be one of the reasons. So there are two things here, like climate change and heat island effect. Maybe that cause this rainfall to increase throughout the years of this 45 years of data that we have. So now I put a question to maybe JPS. I think we have just a new version of HP1. I think published last year, 2021. Okay, but is it better we use a more recent data set and discard the older one to produce the IDF curve in the HP1 or not? That is my questions. Okay, but looks like in these 3 stations, it looks like it is happening. But I think definitely, we need to do more research for all the stations throughout Malaysia and find whether is it worthwhile or is it not say worthwhile. What are the factors we need to consider? Although in HP1 we have the climate change factor there, we can use that as to offset. Just now I mentioned 200 years we design, maybe it's just maybe 50 to 70 years ARI only although we design for 200 years, as now we try to design for. Okay, so this is the first issue I highlight here, okay, in my talk. The second one is the area distribution and duration of rainfall event. I think just now Dr. Nasir have KP of JPS have mentioned about 2 types of rainfall. We know that rainfall is not uniformly distributed over an area and also varies in their duration. But mainly, flooding area is caused by 2 major type of events. One is the short duration, high intensity rainfall that is very localized. Okay, that means it's more within a very small area. While the other one is a long duration, low intensity but very widespread. It normally cover almost a basin wide of an area, a very much bigger area. Okay. The former is normally is a convective type of nature where convective, that means is convective, that means is when the air is hot, it just push the air up and bring along the water vapor. Then it reach a certain stage high enough in the sky. Then the water vapor cool down, then become rain and fall back to the ground. That's convective. Normally, it's very localized. And this type of rainfall also very difficult to forecast. Okay, it's not easy to forecast because it's not a frontal type of rainfall where you know that the rainfall is coming from one direction. This is suddenly there's a one spot, then it just pour down all the rain from very localized area. Okay, and it can occur everywhere in peninsular Malaysia. But more severe is during intermonsoon because of the wind is quite calm. So the water vapor push up to the air, it stay there and come down. So that's why the intermonsoon, we normally have all this fresh flood, very high intensity localized rainfall happening. While the later is a monsoonal type. Normally widespread is a monsoonal type, where especially where we have the northeast monsoon. Because southwest monsoon, we are sheltered by Sumatra Island. That's why the southwest monsoon is not so bad for our peninsular Malaysia here. Okay, but northeast monsoon is critical. Normally they will cause very long duration, a long prolonged flooding. Okay, so these are some examples of this storm. This is on September 2019, we have some data here. Okay, that is a short duration, high intensity. We can see that some of the area, you can see the return period is very, very high, even 300 years and all these things. That's why it's a very localized type of rainfall. And definitely the system we design, even we design for 100 years, minor system, major system, with this a short duration, high intensity type of a rainfall, definitely the system we design definitely cannot take, but it's very localized. The volume that is created by this rainstorm is not much. You compare to basin wide lah, it's not much. That's why the fresh flood occur. Fresh flood, that means is a very short duration because the volume is not much, but very high intensity. The capacity is not enough, but for a while the rainfall will die down. Okay, it will die down, and the flood will gone in maybe 2-3 hours time. Okay, because the system slowly will drain away the flood water because the volume is not big. Okay, these are some of the photos that the fresh flood occur in KL City Center. I think reason also the same case where the occurrences are happening, I think 2 weeks ago. Okay, these are some site photo for various area. Okay, so we can see this is the Masjid Jamid. Almost, I think the platform already flooded a bit at that events. Then we come to look at the widespread long duration event. The December 2021 during the monsoon time. I think so happened. I think based on the meteorological analysis, we have a low pressure depression around this area, where so happened the northeast monsoon is happening. So it draw a lot of water across the whole peninsula Malaysia, from Pahang even to Selangor State and KL State. Yeah, we can see all this area is flooding for long duration, but intensity not as high as the short duration intensity. Okay, so these are the images of from MMD. Okay, and these are the satellite image of this is a daily one. You can see this is a date here. Okay, from 16 to 23rd of December. Okay, we can see that 18 and 19 is covered almost. We cannot see the whole peninsula of Malaysia here. That's where all the rainfall falling for a few days that caused devastating damages to a lot of urban area in Klang Valley. Okay, even in Hulu Klang, Hulu Langa. Okay, so we look at the rainfall. Okay, in this December 2021, the rainfall is not very high intensity. This is the hourly rainfall. Okay, for all the stations. Some are reach only 45 only. If the 100 years rainfall, hourly is roughly around 100 mm, roughly around 120 mm. Okay, so all these are not very high return period. Okay, but when it accumulate, because for long duration, it accumulate, the return period become higher. Okay, because when you talk about longer duration, when you accumulate all the rainfall dam, okay, the rainfall can become high intensity already. Okay, and it's almost like throughout the catchment. Okay, so this is the KL, all the station here, throughout the catchment, almost quite high for longer duration period. Okay, for the rainfall. And these are some water level recorded, the highest water level recorded. Sungai Gombak, Tun Razak, there is overspill more than the danger level, Aras Bahaya. Okay, and many areas also more than the Paras, the danger level here, except a few location where it's only at this Aras Amarana. Okay, and this is Selangor. Selangor State also, we can see Puchong drop, only Puchong drop that is a bit lower than the danger level, but others area like Sri Muda, all these are very high. Your danger level is 5, but the water level is almost 2 meters higher than the danger level. Okay, it's very high. It's a catchment-wide type of rainfall. That's why in December 2021, the whole catchment rain, and that's why the downstream is prolonged flooding, because although the water is actually discharging into the sea during low tide only high tide, actually there will be stagnant water. When low tide, although water is discharging into the sea, but upstream still feeding water to the downstream area. That's where we have all this Banjir Temenong a few days. Similarly to like Kelantan River or the Pahang River, because the catchment is very wide. very big. So when the rain, although it stopped, water is still feeding from the upstream catchment to the lower part. And because KL also, we have ponds, dams, all this. Although the rain over, we still have to release water from all this pond, for this flood detention pond that we have throughout the whole catchment. The bigger the regional one is a Batu Pond, the Taman Wayu Pond. The smaller one is all the development. We have all the ponds to detain the water. But when rain over, the pond is still releasing water back to the river system. That's why Klang River, the water level, although the rain over, the downstream part is still have very high flow. Okay, this is the happening when this storm occurs. Okay. So the discussion here is that for localized rainfall event, okay, with high intensity, many occasions the ARI is very high, okay, very high, exceeded the design protection level that caused fresh flood. Hence, stormwater drainage design should be resilient enough. We cannot cater for, just now we talk about some localized area is 200 years or more than 300 years or whatever. We need to be resilient enough to manage it by using like rootways as a floodway, as I think presented by just now Dato' KP of JPS, okay? As floodway and temporary storage. Maybe we need to reconsider a larger OST or rainfall harvesting storages, okay, to absorb all this. Better regulation of flood detention ponds, how we regulate, whether we can use the flood detention pond for water supply, so that the water level in the flood detention pond will be lower than the design, the life storage will be bigger, because we need the water. And definitely, I think we have always say about maintenance. We need to maintain all the system, as mentioned by also Dato' KP JPS, where a lot of rubbish that clog all the inlet to the drain that cause all this fresh flood. And I think we also have always heard of this LID, low impact development strategy. Okay, that means when we develop something, we must consider the impact of the runoff must be very minimum towards the surrounding. Okay, and how we going to create depression in the development itself to act as a temporary storage in case high intensity rainfall comes. Okay, and this area must be, all the properties must be high enough so that whenever flood, the lower investment type of things can be flooded, where the higher investment type of property we should protect from this flooding. Then we come to this long duration widespread rainfall events, and for Klang Valley, actually this type of event is very rare. People analyze it maybe around 50 years return period as we can see. We have one in 1926, then 1971, now it's 2021, okay? So it's almost like, you can see it's like 50 years occurring once, okay? But maybe the rainfall higher, the frequency become higher, okay? So this long duration widespread event, we have a high flood flows at the lower downstream end of the basin. And we also cause flooding in much larger areas and prolonged duration due to the high volume of water, because the whole basin is receiving rainfall, so it's very high volume of water is flowing through. Okay, and because of long duration, everything will be saturated. Like flood detention pond will be full, a pervious area will be all saturated, like concrete pavement already. Whenever got rain, it will straight away run off to the drainage system nearby. There's no seepage occurs and all these things. That's why this will actually create a very high volume of flow into the river. When it accumulates from the tributary, the flow become higher and higher and go downstream. That's why we have a problem in lower stretch of the catchment, like Shalam area, Taman Sri Muda, along the Sungai Klang area. Okay.
Dr. Wong,
Dr.
Wong,
okay.
Maybe you can wrap up.
Okay. To mitigate, it will be require a major works such as large regional ponds, dams, and all these things. The investment for this type of rainstorm is much higher compared to the short duration rainstorm. Okay, I will quickly go into. I will talk about a flood detention pond. Okay, I will quickly wrap up. We know that the flood detention point will help to reduce the flood peak. Okay, pre and post. Now we are actually trying to, in MASMA, we try to get the pre and post to be the same Q peak, but we don't reduce the volume of runoff. The volume of runoff is still the same as the post development. Okay, this is the issue. The impact is the flood detention pond do not reduce the runoff volume. At the downstream stretch, the time of concentration is longer, and that's why when we localize the flood detention pond is very good. But we talk about when it become accumulated downstream, because the volume is the same, so it may meet with another peak, so the effectiveness will be less. Not say that it's no effect, but the effectiveness will be less. Okay, depends on basin characteristics and rainfall pattern. The detention pond upstream may worsen the peak discharge downstream if not analyzed or designed thoroughly. It should design for a full range of flood events and extreme event also to ensure their placement and function does not cause adverse impact both upstream and downstream area. Okay, so we can see that these are the hydrograph. Original is here. Although peak we try to maintain, but at the downstream after a few tributaries, the final hydrograph is still higher than the pre-development. Okay, because we didn't reduce the volume. We maintain the peak of the discharge only at each subcatchment, but we didn't reduce the volume after urbanization. Okay, same goes with this diagram is the same. Okay, if we don't do thorough analysis, so some detention pond may even pose to make the peak higher than the pre-development also. You can see, let's say, because of post-development like that, if post-development, because the peak maybe missed the downstream peak, but we prolong the flow, this peak may meet with the downstream peak and cause a higher peak. So that we need to avoid. Okay, we need to really analyze thoroughly. So this is my final slides. I no need to mention, just now I said before, okay, we need all this detailed analysis, thorough analysis to avoid all this flood detention pond to function effectively. I think the final one is the maintenance, very important. We need to allocate enough budget to maintain the system. Just now Dato' Anand mentioned, we can have 4 rooms, but if we don't maintain, let's say during the 10 years, when everybody balik kampung, we find that maybe 1 or 2 of the rooms, the katil is not there, or maybe anak-anak is eaten the wood, the aircon is not functioning, all these things. Also no use. We have a room, but inside there, all the facilities are not functioning. So we need a budget for maintenance. So this is my presentation. Thank you for the okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wong.
Okay.
Very interesting. Bit technical, but interesting. Okay. We started a bit later, about 15 minutes, but our organizer has also allowed for another 15 minutes. So we should end our forum at 11:30. Yeah. So we got a bit more than half an hour for questions and answers. I will forward some questions from the audience first. Yeah, I got a few, one for each of you, the panelists, but I will forward. This is a simple question. Dato' Nasir, where can we purchase the flood maps?
Okay, thank you. Flood map we are not selling.
You're not selling.
It's very, very confidential actually.
Dato', when you say, I wanted to ask this question actually regarding the flood maps, you are not allowing the public to know about what's going to happen to them.
Because
is that fair?
People will be afraid. Scared people actually, if they know their place is going to be flooded. The problem is what the mitigation measures we put there. And that's what we haven't produced. See, we produce only the flood extent. But which 100 years flood mitigation work is completed, how will happen? That one we haven't analyzed. That's why we don't put publicize it there.
Okay. Fair. Otherwise, everybody will run. Sell off their houses to those who are ignorant of the
flood. The price drop.
Sure. It causes an economic problem then. Okay, there's another question to you juga, Dato'. You mentioned MASMA is to cater for flash flood only. The lack of maintenance of the installed system has less effective. Then such task has been outsourced. Should be more efficient.
Yeah.
Also, government should keep highlighting the rubbish that block the drain traps. This, in my view, to educate the public that you contribute towards flash flood. I don't quite understand that.
Okay.
Your comments. This is from Gary Lim Enghua. IM. From IM. Do you understand the question, Dato'?
Okay. Yeah, like Dr. Wong said, the flash flood or MASMA system is for local area. Okay. And the convective type of rainfall. That's most important for so the duration flood actually we tackle for MASMA. But the ones in 10 years, 100 years of very big flood, it cannot contain also because it's more than 100 years. It's no use because it's a level investment for the developer to put.
Right.
Okay, and the price of houses also we grow, increase. You have to pay more for the protection level. Second one is like Singapore for handling the litters, they normally do maintenance morning and evening twice a day. That kind of activity we have to put in, but it costs. How much investment government have to invest? Because let's say the ID also not supposed to clean inlet and or parking area or any areas that under development is under PBT.
Yeah.
See, Alam Flora should do that and so on. And the ID only pick up liters of floating rubbish inside the rivers or main drainage system. That's what we do. The rest is under PBT actually.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. There's another question. Doesn't mention who. Quick question: how to prevent flood in agriculture area planted with paddy plant and durian trees lah, yeah? Paddy and durian trees. How to prevent flood in agricultural areas with paddy and durian trees?
Only paddy I know lah to answer. With durian tree, normally durian tree at the hilly area. I don't know how they plant durian tree at the paddy area because it's ponding. You see. Even our ancestors never teach us like that.
Yeah, actually, we noticed that this kind of plantation, especially the big ones, Raub is a popular site for such durian trees where they export to China and all that. The erosion is tremendously bad because I am also from Raub lah, my wife's side. So we know about Raub punya problem. So even treatment plants get affected by the flood. They cannot treat the water. The turbidity is terrible. So this question is quite relevant actually. But I don't know about paddy. Paddy, I don't think it floods. But anyway, anybody can comment on that. Anybody, one of you. But the durian trees, something has to be done, Dato'. Any suggestion to the government?
Erosion sediment control, yes, true for durian tree. Hilly area. Paddy normally is quite different. It's supposed to be ponding.
Correct.
Yeah.
We
Flood,
do we
go there definitely.
Dato', do we have flooding in paddy fields? I never heard. Paddy area.
Yes.
Do we have?
Yeah, recently.
Yes.
Malacca also, but durian never. Durian cannot take flooding, ponding.
No, the cause of durian plantation causing flood. Actually, that's why I think the question is like that.
Okay.
So what's the control? ESCP is not applied to durian plantation, I think, to agriculture. ESCP.
This guideline, yes, MASMA have the guideline, but whether it's imposed or not is a different story.
Yeah, so we do not know the authority really to do that. Yeah. But in Selangor, for information to the questionnaire, I know that this one comes under luas jurisdiction. But whether they're able to enforce it is another story. It's not easy to really pick up which area is polluting your river during the rain. Nobody goes out in the rain during the rain time to catch the culprit lah. Okay, Dato'. So another question to Dato' Adnan. Your case study on persiapan untuk raya, my understanding that the room capacity of the house is fixed. Hence, to adjust the room capacity with time, it's full stop. To relate this to flood, this is equivalent to a millimeter of rainfall over 4 to 5 hours. If that millimeter exceeded, nothing can be done because the installed mitigation measures cannot handle it. Therefore, great flood in December 2021. I hope you can pick up the question.
Ya, tapi itulah ya yang pertama segi contoh yang diberi itu, the structural measure, kita tambah satu bilik.
Tambah satu bilik.
Ya, tambah satu bilik. Jadi dua family lah boleh duduk situ.
Yeah.
That is a choice.
Yeah.
Kalau kita lihat dari segi apa yang perlu buat, kadang-kala, yang pertama ya, kita tengok soalan yang pertama lah, ARI boleh berubah tak the element tu, dia punya nilai untuk satu-satu. Jadi kalau yang pertama, kalau kita tengok contoh yang kita nak raya ni, kita buat keputusan berdasarkan pengalaman kita yang lepas, data-data yang lepas, dan itulah dia nilai. Jadi kalau kata ARI 5, 8 orang akan balik. Tapi pada masa hadapan, anak-anak kita tu cucu mungkin bertambah. Cucu membesar, dewasa, kahwin dan dapat anak. Jadi kalau dulu ARI 5, 8 orang, masa hadapan bila semua dah besar ada anak, ARI 5 mungkin menjadi 15 orang. 15 orang. Kalau dulu-dulu satu dalam ARI 50 tahun sekarang ni. Tapi pada masa depan, yang itu ialah ARI 5 tahun. Jadi sama macam ARI hujan. ARI hujan pun sama juga. Kita berdasarkan data-data yang ada pada masa kita buat keputusan. Jadi itulah dia ARI yang kita dapat. Tapi pada masa hadapan, kita dapat lebih banyak data, pengalaman lebih luas. Jadi kita kalau sekarang ni kita sangkakan peristiwa ARI 5 tahun, 100 tahun katakanlah, pada masa ini, tapi dengan data dan pengalaman yang bertambah dan tempoh masa yang panjang, mungkin kita dapati ARI itu sebenarnya ialah hanya 5 tahun. That change, sama dan lebih-lebih lagi dengan perubahan iklim. Jadi untuk katalah banjir 2014 tu kan, jika berlaku, jadi itu yang katakan banjir yang lebih besar boleh berlaku. Itu iktibar daripada peristiwa zaman Nabi Nuh tu. Jadi kita persediaan sekarang ni, kalau kita lihat JPS, KASA, sekarang menumpukan kepada sistem amaran dan lamaran banjir. Jadi bagi flood notice awal. Nak buat infrastruktur itu bukan senang, banyak dan mengambil masa. Jadi itulah dia komunikasi, persediaan. Ada lagi tindakan, pemilihan option untuk tempatan banjir bukan hanya dari segi structural, membina. Tidak, tak boleh. Jadi banyak non-structural yang akan datang. Dan termasuk juga itulah yang kata-kata kalau takut berumah di tepi pantai, kalau takut di lambung ombak yang itu, yang ini nak minta tolong Datuk Nasir lah. Jadi kalau kita ni pun nak tahu juga apakah risiko kalau kita pindah situ. Jadi kalau boleh share lah peta risiko banjir itu, yang itu penting. Kalau kata that is really public service. Lama-lama public akan faham, dia tak akan panik. Dia tahu situ kawasan banjir. Mula-mula tu panik lah, agak akan rendah. Tapi sebenarnya dari pengalaman Netherlands ya, bila dia buat 1 in 200 years, semua orang dah tahu kawasan tu banjir. Jadi dia buat adjustment. Dan harga nilai tanah makin lama makin tinggi sebab teknologi ada baru. Rumah terapung, kita control density semua. Jadi tidak bermakna kawasan tu risiko tinggi, tidak bermakna nilainya akan turun. Jadi option tu memang banyak lah. Di Datuk Nasir kalau boleh share lah, kita pun nak tahu.
Okay. Thank you. That question was by Gary Lim Eng Hua. I think the second question that he's your IEM fellow. Okay, there's another question from Muhammad Edi Misrum. Do we need smart tunnel 2 at Klang Valley, especially Shah Alam? Siapa nak jawab ni?
Saya nak cuba juga dulu ya, pasal
okay. Ini open empat orang boleh jawab.
Tapi Datuk Hisham, Datuk Nasir lebih arif. Tapi kalau saya nak dari trend masa depan, penyelesaian masalah banjir ni, kita boleh guna sistem jalan raya di Kuala Lumpur ni. Kalau dulu semua jalan raya adalah atas dasar tanah, kita lihat semakin tinggi kesan traffic jam, dah mula jalan bertingkat di atas dan juga di bawah. Jadi sama jugalah kalau kita tengok trend pada masa hadapan, kita perlukan juga laluan air yang bertingkat satu, tapi dari segi bawah tanah tu, jadi kalau kita tengok MRT ada bahagian-bahagiannya yang terpaksa melalui bawah tanah. Jadi these are future trends lah. Memang solution dia macam tu.
Datuk Hisham nak komen pasal smart tunnel 2 ni yang diwar-warkan dalam berita lah. Ini bukan secret pun.
Ya, smart tunnel 2 ni dia kekal sebagai satu alternatif lah yang boleh dipertimbangkan sekiranya perlu. Kita cuba elak sebab tunneling ni sebenarnya tak ada tunneling yang murah. It's always expensive to build tunnels. So kita akan try of course the conventional traditional methods lah. Cuma kalau kita perlu buat, first thing kita consider dalam perkara ni, nombor satu diversion. So if diversion dia dijalankan secara biasa, diversion ataupun buat laluan alternatif untuk air, kita akan cuba. Tapi kalau dah terpaksa tu, then mungkin the tunnel will come into play lah. Cuma bila ada tunnel tu, dia bukannya saja civil engineering lah, dia complete. Dia ada civil, dia ada mechanical, dia ada warning system, dia ada protocols, ya. Dan ada pump yang powerful, dia semua tu yang menyebabkan dia jadi mahal.
Datuk, this smart tunnel ni kalau yang ada tu dah diprivatize, maknanya kerajaan tak keluar duit. Jadi bagi pada swasta, maknanya swasta akan keluar belanja dan dia akan kutip tol. I don't know whether this tunnel is funded lah. Yang tunnel tu pun difikirkan begitu je dia punya orang kata cara approach. Kalau diprivatizekan, dia ada pengguna jalan raya akan bayar tol, dia tak ada melalui jam yang ada sekarang. Tapi dual function lah, maknanya bila banjir ditutup macam smart tunnel yang ada sekarang. Begitu macam mana tu?
Well, sebenarnya it's not free to the government. Dalam case smart tunnel yang original tu, government ada komponen dia.
I see.
Ada komponen dia, dan private sector ada komponen dia, dan cara dia recover dia punya capital outlay itu adalah melalui tol. Jadi there is rather difficult lah for government to.
It's a sharing punya.
Yeah, it's a sharing situation lah.
Tapi alright.
Okay, can I add on a bit?
Yes, please.
Okay, you see, I think smart tunnel in KL, I think is quite feasible because I think we have a lot of high intensity localized rainfall.
Yeah.
But you look at December 2021, the flood, it may be very rare. Are we going to actually invest in a tunnel where it may use in maybe in 10 years time once, or whether is it function or not, or whatever? This one we have to actually consider lah. The type of return period that it occur in the basin-wide type of rainfall, where actually there's a very rare depression along the Klang Valley here, where the northeast monsoon flow over the range, cross over the range, and fall heavy rainfall into this catchment. It's rare. I look at it, it's rare. As I mentioned just now, it's like 50 years once. So whether this one is need to consider lah, because there's a huge investment. If you combine both, we need to be ready with all the gates, the pump, all these things are ready. Whether is it worthwhile is it function or not? Whether if it's the rain is coming or not, the things is not used for maybe 10 years. Whether it is function or not. Yeah,
the question is cost effective.
Correct. My opinion.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. There's one more short one. Any further improvement for cities to mitigate rising water level? It doesn't say what is rising. Is it the sea rising water level or what? It just say rising water level. Maybe you can tafsirkan lah in the right context. Rising water level. I think the sea rising of the sea water level lah. It's not about flood lah kan. Flood is got.
Raji nak saya respon ke?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's yours.
Yes, so the scenario that we have pretty much accepted is that sea levels will rise.
Yeah.
So all future coastal development especially kena take heed lah sekarang ni. So this is captured dalam kita punya vulnerability and adaptability punya reports. And there is also various other reports on that reflect is how the coastal area has to respond. So number one, when sea level rise happens, the jetties, if you look at economies on the coastline, the jetties will all start to be severely hit, because you will find that with higher water levels, the storm, when the storm hits, dia punya kekuatan ombak tu akan lebih kuat, dan kita akan dapati bahawa jetty kita akan mula memerlukan lebih banyak maintenance. That's actually one of the first indications that kita banyak coastal fishermen. Then they rely on these jetties, some officially by the government, built by government, some are built by themselves. So you'll start to see that these jetties will see a lot of effect. So definitely the response is you have to raise the level of these jetties so that they can still function. In the next few years, you will start to see many of these coastal facilities akan perlu di-upgrade. So that's one of the first response that you will see. Second one is probably look at the coastal ecosystems. Kita punya inundation of coastal tidal lands ni akan lebih tinggi dan dia term dalam coastal engineering dipanggil coastal squeeze. Dia akan squeeze sebab kita ada banyak coastal band, and then depan tu ada mangroves. So there is bila sea level tu semakin tinggi, there is a squeezing of whatever is remaining of the shoreline between the hard structure, the bank and the tidal and the forest. So you'll find that more mangrove forests will be inundated for a longer time. So these are one of the few observations that you will start to notice.
Yes.
So eventually in the river mouths, then you will see kita punya nelayan ni selalu dia suka park boat dekat rumah dia. Rumah ni semua dalam muara-muara sungai kecil ni. So all these houses yang sitting on stilts ni, itu pun semua esok kena raise lah slowly. Slowly kena naikkan platform dia.
Or maybe they use the new technology where you can float. Your house is floating on that
floating, yes. These floating houses that you can see in Holland, even in Denmark pun ada. This will be one of the concepts that they will need to explore in the future.
Correct. Okay. Another question from Gary Lim again. Wow, this Gary Lim suka tanya banyak. There was no mention of water tunnel from Pahang to Selangor. Did this contribute to the flood in Selangor? Kindly update the status on the operational of the tunnel. This one is the Pahang Selangor water transfer actually. This one is waterworks, water supply. Yeah. Anybody care to comment? Or should I answer it? The answer is no.
Yeah.
Because the water. Okay, I'm from this waterworks background, so I just have to answer lah. This is a scheme where water is a water resource taken from Pahang through the tunnel, Banjaran Titiwangsa, goes to Langat 2 water treatment plant. Currently, the capacity is 1,000, about 1,000 MLD, but they are producing about maybe around 500 MLD. 500 MLD is like 5 Q-Sacs only, 5 Q-Max, 5 or 5.5 Q-Max. So it's not a big quantity, but it doesn't get into the river. It goes to the treatment plant. So I'm very sure that it does not contribute to the flooding that happened recently or in the future. Yeah. So that's the answer. Could Nahrim look into potential through managed artificial recharge (MAR) of these flood waters to aquifers? Okay. Datuk juga lagi lah. Datuk Hisham.
Okay. Not exactly my within my domain, but I'll try. So yes, the managed artificial recharge is one of the I would say promising this technology to recharge aquifers that way. So yes, at Narim we are looking at how at hydrogeology very seriously, and this is one of the options that we can use to supplement or to enhance our water security. But I'm not the person to answer it because it's not I'm not very familiar with the subject matter. So I'll pass on answering anything. But yes, anything to do with water security in terms of supplementing water supply, it will be falling under Narim's research agenda.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, I will answer. Actually, we are not a groundwater extractor atau user tau. Jadi usually MAR is for if you have a facility for groundwater abstraction for water supply. So it's good to recharge back so that you don't have the ground settlement doesn't happen. So you recharge balik. So that can be utilized only when you abstract water from groundwater lah. In short lah, in short. So that's not really happening except for Kelantan. Kelantan possible, but the consumption of groundwater is very little compared to the flood intensity. Is too much. So practically speaking, I think it's difficult. It's not so effective to handle flood waters. Okay. There's another question. SHZ. Whoever that person is, can we adopt some flood mitigation as in Japan? Anybody? Dato Nasir, can we adopt some flood mitigation as in Japan?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, Japan used about 200 years return period ARI designed for their, but they use a lot of high levy type, okay, and a very wide reserve, unlike us. And they have one both side of the rivers, and the river very short. And the other way that they do a lot of sabo works. They have a lot of sabo dam upstream to handle the silt, so the water go through, and they do a lot of the ground silt works, meaning that we are structured to stabilize the bed gradient in Japan. For one river system, maybe hundreds of sabo works. Unlike ours in Malaysia, only that we Puchong drop a kind of sabo works, a ground seal work, Puchong drop, and sabo dam in unlikely. I think Dr. Wong designed one or two in Yan Kedah. For almost the first type or introduction type of sabo. That's how Japanese do it. And another thing is there a lot of public participation. They handle their no rubbish at all. If everybody, even cigarette butts, have put inside their pocket and take somewhere and throw it away. Inside the proper place are dustbin. But not like us, we just throw our rubbish everywhere. Yeah, that's how Japanese do it. Okay, and they start very, very early.
Yes, I see that during in preschool time, they do the gotong royong, Dato'.
Yes.
Itu gotong royong, cuci kelas and serve makanan. Masak tidaklah kot, tapi they serve dia punya kawan-kawan makanan detectors and all that kan. So I think that's a very good one.
Even young age also they teach how to handle our own toilet.
Yeah.
Their own toilet, yeah.
And respect other people. I think that's a fantastic also character. Dato', MASMA third edition ni, when will it be implemented? Or
kena lantik consultant dulu.
That will take few years lah. I would say another 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Wah, banyak soalan. Sorry. No. Okay. The Great Flood of Malaysia. There is one mitigation measure which has not been mentioned in emergency response preparedness or plan. The poor coordination among the agencies caused so much delay that it is not effective. Comments, please. This again from Gary lah. Your Gary friend is very good in asking question. Sila Dato', boleh siapa-siapa?
Silakan. Anybody want to answer?
Dato' Adnan ke?
Yeah.
You have been quiet for a while now.
Actually handled by NADMA.
NADMA, yeah.
The night that on the 18th, at 1 in the morning, I was called for a meeting. 1 in the morning,
Oh, okay.
because
That's
we
emergency,
know
Dato',
that Shah Alam going to be flooded.
Yeah, okay.
The only thing that all our asset, bomber, our army asset, military asset, all in Pantai Timur at that moment.
Oh.
Because nobody expect flood to occur at the west coast. Because even Hawaii Center also, Meteorology Center said it won't cross to Selangor.
Oh.
You will dump water in Pahang.
Yeah.
That's why Met also not ready. All the forecast around the world also is not possible. But somehow, kuasa Allah, the low depression occurred at the west coast. So every cloud go there, concentrate at the Selangor area. That's so pity. And all the disaster actually managed by DO, district officer. Okay, all the team managed by district officer. Every district officer has their own power because they are the chief of disaster for their own district.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the election scenario. And you know, end of the year, people get leave and so on. They expect for places Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, or Melaka to receive such a rainfall. Like Dato' Adnan said, so big. Yeah. We expect something to happen in Pahang, Terengganu and Kelantan.
Yeah.
That's why all asset there, and takes time to bring those assets to Selangor.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dato'.
Tuan
yeah.
Moderator. Boleh tanya tak?
Oh, okay.
Hanafi ya.
Okay, Dato' Hanafi, yes. Ya, silakan.
Okay. Soalan saya kepada Datuk KPJPS lah.
Okay.
Baru ni ada statement daripada YB Menteri Kasar tentang cadangan untuk tingkatkan level of protection kepada 200 years ARI. Adakah ini dikira sebagai satu arahan ataupun yang akan dijadikan dasar jabatan, dasar kerajaan, ataupun dan bagaimana cadangan ini dilontarkan, sama ada berdasarkan kepada satu penilaian yang kajian dan yang menyeluruh lah. Sebab setahu saya banyak projek-projek RTB pun tak banyak, yang 100 years ARI pun tak banyak yang kita design dan laksanakan. Jadi sekarang kita nak naik 200 years pula. Jadi 100 years pun tak settle lagi, nak naik 200. Jadi minta penjelasan Datuk Dr. Nasir.
Terima kasih. Kita dah mentang ke kabinet untuk makluman and approve. Only for major system, our bunds, our dams, coastal bund, yes, 200 years. But other system, urban drainage, the most we go for 100 years, not 200.
Right.
Okay. And also for RP3 calculation, the next 50 years, yang PM ni Menteri Maklum dan Parlimen the price for 50 years billion all kita estimate for 200 years plus sea level rise plus climate change. That's why it go more than 300 billion for 50 years. Okay.
Thank you, Dato'. Ini from Sean Shane from Opus Consultants to Dato' Nasir. Dato' Nasir ini banyak ni. Using Dr. Wong's analysis on the rainfall depths as a basis, would the selection of ARI for level of protection be reviewed by JPS? Example, 10 years for minor system or 100 years for major may no longer serve its purpose. Ada bentang tadi. Yeah.
Yeah, presented already. Mostly go to 100 for urban drainage.
Major, yeah.
For major system only, not for minor.
Okay. Oh, minor is about
less than 50.
20 saya tengok tadi kan.
Ada 20, ada 50, depend on types.
On types ya, okay. Itu dah dibentangkan sebenarnya. Ni from Dr. Khalid Hassan, our colleague juga. Dia Dr. Nasir, thank you for the wonderful sharing. Okay. As in WST 2040, people described as the driver for transformation. So can I know if JPS has developed any detailed community-based flood mitigation and adaptation plan as reference for public? Good question, I think. Yeah.
No, belum buat. National Adaptation Plan for Climate Change, yes, CASA is doing. But for flood, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Only SIPA program we have under Praban program, ada Nawak program, yes.
Okay.
We have the SIPA program, but not the plan.
And he asked if there's any plan in the near future that you want to have it. This
The
fresh
one that
reapers can
have
participate
on the bidding of RP3.
I see. Okay. All
If
right.
approved, then we can do it. Inshallah.
Okay. Wah, Datuk Isham, ada satu soalan from Sham Kokshin again. How should engineering practitioners in this country respond to the effect of seawater rise in coastal development?
Oh, tadi kan dah jawab tadi.
I think you did.
On rising sea levels. Basically, it's rising sea levels and the effect of storm surge lah. Those are the two.
That was answered. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Chong Chiun, is our agriculture sector ready for MASMA? That was a earlier question. Currently, it is exempted from MASMA. However, greenhouse and net house are all impervious and will continue to high runoff. Greenhouse and net house, I'm not sure about net house, but it's just asking about agriculture sector lah, whether it's going to be subjected to MASMA. Who can answer that?
Okay, thank you. For agriculture area, normally we focus on the erosion control.
Yeah.
Especially Cameron Highland. That's why instead of normal type of planting, we use greenhouse.
Greenhouse. Yeah.
The problem is, yes, the runoff will be more.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, yes.
But Dato', who would be the regulator for this? Who would impose this condition?
The district engineer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right.
They're the one who have to work the plan.
All right. But is that already
only for big scale? Then normally under EIA.
I see. So big scale.
EIA quite difficult lah to handle. Nobody refer to us.
Jabatan alam sekitar. Okay.
Can I add on?
Yes.
One of the industry we have to look into is the solar panel.
Okay.
Because I think when we have solar panel, it may be take up hectares of land and it's impervious. If it's hilly area, the grass actually cannot grow below. The ESCP also very important. The runoff also increase. I think this industry also, a lot of I think a lot of players now, a lot of them building a lot of solar panel, very big area. This need to be controlled also, my opinion.
Okay.
Beside the agriculture.
But as I see, the one that is regulated by Jabatan Alam Sekitar, the acreage is quite big. So, but even lesser acreage would also contribute a lot of erosion actually, kan? If so many kebun-kebun kecil lah, small farmers kan, jadi 5 acres, 10 acres is already very destructive lah, as we can see today, kan? Okay, there is another. I think hopefully this is our last question. Because we are nearing 11:30. I don't know whether I got time for my question. But anyway, I think I just cut short. I need to ask my question. This is about economy, economic situation. I got this goes to about the ARI and especially on the coastal areas. So if you know the sea level rising, the ARI higher ARIs become more frequent. 100 years can happen several times in a year probably, kan? Then if the cost of improving the control system of flood is still not there at the moment, it will take time to build. So do we still want to go on developing the coastal areas for pembangunan, for housing, for kilang-kilang, you know? So that would be, you know, like asking for trouble, asking for trouble. And so I don't know whether, I don't think we are really ready, you know, to at the moment to face that. So that's my major question. But there's one additional. I want to finish off now. that we have not even mentioned about La Nina. La Nina has actually, I do follow about La Nina. La Nina has happened last year and it stopped for about few months and then it continues this year. So despite when you say that we did not expect heavy rainfall to happen in the West Coast during this time, right? As in the past years, but it happened. But as I see it could be caused by the regional weather of La Nina, which is something to do with the Pacific cooling off. El Nino is a Pacific warming up lah. So, but this is the opposite of El Nino. So these two questions, anybody? I just open to anybody to answer this.
Okay, I may just, yeah, I think this is become a global type of climate. Okay, definitely, I think maybe this type of, just now the December, it may be part of the La Nina phenomenon. Because you see cooling off of the Pacific will actually create a high pressure. Yeah. Then so happen maybe there's a low pressure around Klang Valley or in the Selat Melaka, this area. Then it draw a lot of rain across the range that caused this phenomenon to happen. But this is global. I didn't really study the whole climate of the weather. Actually, there's a lot of now there's a global climate forecast ready for the world. So I think this may be one of the reasons. That's what I can explain. Okay, thank you.
Time being, our forecast is moderate La Nina going to occur until middle of this year.
Yeah.
That's how our hydrometeorologists told us. So expecting some more rain coming, even inter monsoon and during the southwest monsoon as well.
Yeah.
That's what the forecast for time being until middle of the year. Yeah, that's what have been told us. Okay, thank you.
Dato' Adnan, would you like to respond to my question about these people buying or we continue to develop the coastal areas when we are really not ready to protect that from this cause of sea level rise and may not happen 5 years from now, but it could happen in the next 10 years, 20 years as we see the prediction and based on the historical data that sea level rise coming up and then the waves are getting higher and also the flood is getting more frequent, ARI and all that. Yeah. So on that something?
Kita tak boleh apa kata orang tu kekang lah. You cannot stop.
Yeah.
The desire to develop. Macam sekarang jugalah. Kalau kita kata tempat banjir tu janganlah duduk situ. Jadi tak payah kita buat projek. You cannot. So in fact kalau kita tengok IPCC dan juga usaha-usaha sekarang ialah this called adaptation. We have to start thinking seriously on this adaptation lah. Nampak senang.
Yeah.
Tapi it requires kata orang tu satu program yang detail dan menggalakkan adaptation. Jadi kalau kita dengar sekarang ni kebanyakan daripada cerita-cerita adaptation ni ialah daripada pihak kerajaan. Pihak swasta belum lagi nak ambil indah pun pasal climate change ni, pasal adaptation. Tapi kita perlu, kalau kita nak terus survive, maju, hidup selesa, kita terima hakikat bahawa perubahan iklim akan berlaku, ada kesan-kesannya, tapi kita perlu pertolongan. Semua orang perlu tengok apakah tindakan yang boleh diambil untuk adaptation dan di mana jua, sama ada di tepi pantai atau bukit, mana-mana pun climate change dia tak ada, dia menyeluruh. Jadi boleh ada polisi, boleh ada ni, tapi kalau tengok semua negeri, dasar apa pun daripada cadangan dasar daripada peringkat federal, negeri-negeri masih mempunyai prioriti dan keperluan masing-masing. Jadi kena ada satu keputusan yang seimbang. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you Dato' Adnan. Actually we are wrapping up now. So in summary, this ARI matter is a measurement of intensity of rainfall lah, ya, secara ringkas, and it is a serious matter. It is kind of a long-term punya but we are already facing this problem when things happen every 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, according to the statistics. It has to be taken up by everybody lah. So those who want to invest in properties and all that have to look at the sites and all that, especially the old areas. For the public, they tengok because they can tengok review this factor about flood lah. Sangat itu should come anytime. Cuma when after La Nina ni, now it's La Nina, a lot of rain. Then it becomes the neutral period. Then it goes to El Nino. So when it goes away from La Nina, we all forget. We all forget. We have our annual monsoon that is not too extreme, but the El Nino, La Nina, they give very a strong effect to our rainfall and dry weather. So public needs to be made aware of this. I think this forum can have their a few more rounds of similar, maybe focus on certain areas in the future. So hopefully MWA will continue with this kind of forum, public forum lah. Yeah, we try to be more open to the public. Although we have some technical, quite some technical inputs in that. It's okay. We can just share whatever and we can pick up as much as we can. Whatever is relevant to us. So thank you all to the panels for giving your time pro bono. So I think with that I will end this session for today. Thank you very much. Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Assalam.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Jangan balik dulu ya.
Ya, ada gambar.
Belum lagi. I will call upon Mr. Lee Kun Yew, our Group Executive Director, to give closing remarks. Please welcome Mr. Lee.
Okay.
So, thank you, Haji Mansoor, and also the panel members. It has been a very, very interesting, very lively discussion, and the presentations were really excellent. And thank you too to all the participants. We really appreciate your presence, and it has really helped us to understand the cross-section of the people who are very interested in this very important subject, which affects our daily life. And even though some may not be technical, but still, I hope all of us will have learned something together. And it is the intention of MWA together with CASA to continue with one or two more sessions like this on floods, so that we will be able to bring out the subject for public consumption as well as for public knowledge and education. At the same time, you will be able to know and understand what are the challenges that we face in mitigating floods, in moving the floods from mitigation to flood resilience. So I think this is one of the things that we want to see how we can do that. But of course, as what Dato' Anand very aptly, mana ada hujan, tak ada banjir. So it is something that is very real to all of us. And thank you so much once again to panel members. Thank you, participants. And on behalf of the president of MWA, I would like to say a very big thank you for your support and your presence this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lee.
Ada ambil gambar?
Ada. Sebelum tu kita nak share sikit upcoming program, poster of upcoming program MWA. Joe, please help to share the poster. Okay, we are going to have a master class on 2015 net zero GHG by the Secretary General of CASA. That will be on the 28th of March. Okay, everyone is invited to join. We will have this available in our website for you to register. Okay, next. Okay, this will be the next webinar with the minister. Yeah, it's a minister's dialogue with the water industry. So I hope all the water players, the companies and the stakeholders can join, take full opportunities and advantage of this dialogue with the minister. Yeah? Whatever concern that you have and you think that is that needs to take priority by the ministry, you can share this out during the industry dialogue. Okay, this will be held on the 31st of March. More information will be made available at the website. Okay, next. Okay, this is a joint webinar by Economic Planning Unit and Malaysian Water Association on SDG 6, Rising Up to Ensure Clean Water and Sanitation for All. This will be available on the 15th of April. Okay, next. All right, this one is in conjunction with MWA Sehat and Santai program. We have this My Water Fund Challenge 2022. This is the second time we had one last year. So this one will be combined of three activities: walk, run, and ride. The registration period starts on 1st April until 31st of August 2022. And the period of challenge will be from the 1st July to 31st of August. So information is already posted out in our website. Take a look of our MW activities. Yeah? Okay, next one. Okay, this one is MWA Water Malaysia Bulletin. It's a quarterly publication. So the upcoming one, the first quarter that is targeted to be published by this month, will feature YBM, Minister of CASA. So we invite support in terms of advertisement supports from all to ensure that this publication will go out on time. So if you have any technical articles to share that can consider to be published in the bulletin, then please send it to MWA. So overall, we need support to ensure all the activities will run smoothly and we can serve more to the water industry on behalf of the Water Association. So I think before we end, I would like to thank all the moderator, panelists, participants, council members, new members also, and non-members who first time attending MWA program. So I hope you can gain as much possible from the subject matters we shared today. I'm so sorry about my voice. I'm having cough, so it's not smoothly heard. Anyway, more information is available at our website mwa.org.my. Take a look, and we have also our training arm, which is Malaysian Water Academy, is also organizing some trainings. So if you want to join in the training, so please contact Malaysian Water Academy. So with that, let's take a photo, group photo. Please switch on your video. Someone from the secretary, please take photo.
Yeah, okay. There's 8 pages of photos, so I hope everyone bear with me for a bit. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, second page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I see that some of you are still switching on your camera, so I'll wait for a bit. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next page. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And last one. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're done.
Okay, thank you, Mira. Thank you, everybody. Until we meet in the next program. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank
you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Bye
day.
bye.
Bye bye.
Please join our